Now, Law is talking to Luffy's group. Their next target is to reach Dressrosa Island, and before that, he threatened Doflamingo, forcing him to leave his position as a warlord of the sea. This surprised everyone. But Luffy was very excited. At this moment, Luffy told everyone, he and Law have formed an alliance to defeat one of the four emperors. This made Usopp terrified, because the emperor they are going to challenge is Kaido of the Beasts. On the other side, Smoker was defeated by Doflamingo. When he was about to kill Smoker, unexpectedly, Aokiji appeared. This shocked Smoker's subordinates. They didn't understand why the former fleet admiral was here. Although Doflamingo noticed Aokiji behind him, he still went ahead to kill Smoker. Unexpectedly, he was immediately frozen by Aokiji. Aokiji even froze the entire area. But Doflamingo managed to escape Aokiji's ice. This surprised everyone. They thought Doflamingo and Aokiji would fight each other to the end. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo decided to leave. He said, "I have no interest in fighting you," and Doflamingo realized Aokiji was plotting something. So, Doflamingo and his subordinates left. At this moment, Smoker was puzzled. He didn't understand why Aokiji came here. So, Smoker thought Aokiji was involved with the underworld. But Aokiji warned Smoker that Doflamingo is a very dangerous man. So, he told Smoker to inform Akainu, to send a fleet admiral to Dressrosa. Meanwhile, Law was telling Luffy's group that Doflamingo is known as Joker in the underworld, and he is an important business partner of Kaido. When Momo and Kinemon heard Kaido's name, they were immediately surprised. It turns out that Doflamingo has been producing a large number of artificial devil fruits to sell to Kaido. This made everyone worried, because their enemies would possess more devil fruits. But Law said they wouldn't get any more devil fruits, because they had captured Caesar. This excited everyone, because they thought Caesar was very talented. But Law explained that the research on creating artificial devil fruits was Vegapunk's, so they quickly ignored Caesar. Suddenly, everyone saw hail falling. Nami sensed that something was wrong, so she told Frankie to prepare to use the emergency escape system. Unexpectedly, a large ice block was falling towards their ship. Fortunately, Frankie managed to control the Sunny to fly away in time. Thanks to this, they escaped from that place. This made Momo excited, because Luffy's ship is amazing. So, Nami decided to take Momo on a tour of the Sunny. This made Momo very happy. In the evening, Usopp and Chopper were still worried, because they would become Doflamingo's targets. Suddenly, Luffy saw Kinemon attacking Zoro, because he thought Zoro had stolen the legendary sword Shisui from Ryama. It is a national treasure of Wano country. Suddenly, Nami announced that Momo was bathing with Robin. This shocked Sanji, Kinemon, and Brook. So, they immediately went to find Momo. They saw Momo bathing with Robin. This made them very envious of him, because they thought Momo was just taking advantage of his childlike appearance. But all three were immediately hit by Nami, because they dared to bully a child. So, Momo hugged Nami. He even gave them a sly smile, which made all three of them angry. The next morning, Luffy's group was very surprised, because they read the news that Doflamingo had resigned as a warlord of the sea. He even abdicated his position as the king of Dressrosa. This delighted Law, because everything was going according to his plan. But Luffy saw that a photo of him and Law was also in the newspaper, which surprised everyone. Over in Dressrosa Kingdom, the citizens didn't understand why Doflamingo resigned. He even received a lot of phone calls. Suddenly, Law called Doflamingo. This amused him. So, he answered the call, while everyone in the world was shocked, because Doflamingo had given up his position as a warlord of the sea. This surprised Bonnie, Jimbei, and Crocodile. At this moment, Doflamingo said to Law, "I have given up my position as a warlord of the sea." This left everyone puzzled. Luffy then said to him, "I will become the Pirate King." And he promised to return Caesar to him as agreed. Suddenly, Doflamingo told Luffy, "I have something that you really want." This made everyone curious. Luffy thought it was a delicious piece of meat. This made him very tempted. At this point, Doflamingo suggested they let him hear Caesar's voice. After he confirmed it was Caesar, Law then arranged to meet him in the north of Dressrosa Island, and Law would return Caesar to him. Then, Luffy immediately cut off communication, because he thought Doflamingo would keep trying to lure them in. Meanwhile, Sanji thought Doflamingo was planning an ambush for them. But, Law said that returning Caesar was just a part of their plan, because his real goal was to destroy the Smile Factory. However, he didn't know the location of the Smile Factory, so they would have to search for it. This excited Luffy, because he was about to explore Dressrosa Island. Law then told Luffy they needed to have a plan first, but Luffy realized it was time to eat, so no one paid attention to him. At this point, Law told them that after they finished their business in Dressrosa, they would continue to the island of Zo. So, Kinemon and Momo continued to ask for a ride from them, and Kinemon told them that previously, a friend of his had been captured in Dressrosa, so he had to rescue his friend. This moved Chopper and Frankie. At Marine headquarters, they were having an emergency meeting about the warlords of the sea, because Doflamingo's resignation as a warlord would disrupt the balance between the three powers: the Marines, the four emperors, and the warlords of the sea. But Akainu remained calm, and he decided to send Fleet Admiral Fujitora to Dressrosa. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was gathering the commanders of his pirate crew. He believed that what was inside the box was something Luffy wanted. It turned out to be Ace's Mera Mera Devil Fruit. At this moment, Luffy's group had arrived at Dressrosa. This made Luffy very excited, so he asked Momo to fly him into the town. But Momo didn't know how to fly. He didn't even like flying, because it reminded him of his past. So, Momo bit Luffy, and they started fighting. Luffy said that one day he would become the Pirate King, while Momo wanted to become the Shogun of Wano country. Fortunately, Kinemon stopped them, because he scolded Momo for being disrespectful to his benefactors. So, Momo ran to hug Nami. This made all three of them continue to be envious of him. At this moment, Law took out a map of Dressrosa for everyone to see, and he began to formulate a plan. They would split into 3 action teams. One team would go to destroy the Smile Factory. Law's team would take Caesar to the meeting point with Doflamingo, and Nami's team would stay behind to guard the Sunny. Suddenly, Chopper noticed that Luffy's group had disappeared. This made them worried. Meanwhile, Luffy's group had entered the town, because they smelled a delicious aroma of food there. But, Luffy saw that the toys here were moving like humans. This surprised them. Even the humans and toys here were living together. This delighted Luffy, so they decided to disguise themselves. Then, they could freely explore the town. At this moment, Luffy was very hungry, so he ran off to find food, and Luffy found a restaurant. Suddenly, Zoro noticed an old blind man approaching. This made him sense danger. Unexpectedly, the old blind man walked past Zoro. It turned out he was looking for a nearby casino, but Zoro didn't know, so he told the old man to ask inside the restaurant. At this point, Luffy's group was in the restaurant waiting for food, but Kinemon was very worried about his friend named Conqueror. Meanwhile, Sanji felt something was very strange, because the king of Dressrosa had abdicated, but the people here were not worried at all. Finally, the food arrived, which made Luffy very excited, because the food here was delicious. Suddenly, they saw the old blind man gambling in the restaurant. Zoro said that the old man was winning continuously, thanks to the old blind man. Those who bet along with him all won their bets. This made everyone very happy, but a group of crooks appeared. They realized the old man was blind, so they wanted to play roulette with him. At that moment, the old man bet on white. Although the wheel landed on the white slot, they claimed it was black, causing the old man to keep losing. It turned out they were Doflamingo's subordinates, so no one dared to say anything. They thought the old man wouldn't dare to play anymore. Unexpectedly, he bet all his remaining money, which made them very amused. At this point, he bet on white again. Unexpectedly, the wheel actually landed on the white slot. When they were about to continue cheating the old man, suddenly, Luffy said, "You won." This surprised everyone, because he dared to confront Doflamingo's subordinates, while the old man was very happy, because he had won. Luffy also sensed that the old man was very strong. Suddenly, they attacked Luffy. But, the old man immediately stood up to stop them, so, they all attacked him together. Unexpectedly, he easily disarmed all of them, so quickly that they couldn't even realize it. Suddenly, they felt an immense pressure pushing them to the ground, making them feel as if their bodies were about to be crushed. The old man unexpectedly created a large hole in the ground. This surprised everyone, because they didn't know who he was. Luffy's group realized he had eaten a devil fruit. Luffy felt he was very powerful, so, he asked, "Who are you?" But the old man didn't tell Luffy and left. Zoro realized that he was not an ordinary person. Suddenly, everyone in the restaurant panicked, because they had been robbed. Zoro realized that his sword, Shisui, was missing. A puppet nearby said the fairies had done it. When everyone realized the fairies had stolen from them, unexpectedly, they just shrugged it off. This made Zoro angry. Kinemon then blamed Zoro for losing the sword. Suddenly, Zoro saw the thief, so he chased after him. Sanji and Kinemon also immediately ran after Zoro. When Luffy was about to help, then Franky stopped him, because he had come up with another plan. At this moment, Zoro's group was trying to chase down the thief, while Luffy and Franky were interrogating Doflamingo's subordinate, to force him to reveal the location of the Smile Factory. Although he didn't know anything about it, he told Luffy that they could go to Dressrosa's Coliseum to investigate, because there was a major event happening there today, and the prize is something that everyone desires. On the Coliseum side, everyone was very excited, because the Coliseum's battle was about to begin. Suddenly, the announcer told them about the battle at the Marine headquarters 2 years ago. That battle resulted in Ace's sacrifice, which shocked everyone, and they all realized the prize for this battle was Ace's Mera Mera no Mi, making everyone very excited. While Luffy was in shock, because it was Ace's Devil Fruit. When people learned about the prize for this match, the Coliseum became even more lively. This battle gathered all the strong warriors from around the world. They would even have to fight against a commander of the Don Quixote pirates, Diamante, which made all the spectators in the Coliseum excited. At this moment, Luffy couldn't understand why Ace's Devil Fruit was here. So, Doflamingo's subordinate explained. It turns out that when a Devil Fruit user dies, the Devil Fruit will then be reborn elsewhere. So, Devil Fruits never really disappear. Thanks to this, Doflamingo found Ace's Devil Fruit, and he decided that this Devil Fruit would be the prize for this battle. At this moment, Luffy was determined to get the Mera Mera fruit, so he suggested that Franky eat it, but Franky refused, because he didn't want to lose his ability to swim. Even so, Luffy still didn't want Ace's Devil Fruit to fall into someone else's hands, so they immediately rushed to the Coliseum. On Zoro's side, he was still trying to chase down the thief, but he lost sight of the thief, because there were too many people around. Suddenly, Sanji saw a beautiful girl dancing, which made Sanji unable to take his eyes off her, and she threw her rose to Sanji, making him mesmerized. So, Sanji lost track of Zoro. Suddenly, the dancer girl ran to find Sanji. She said, "Hold me," which surprised Sanji. It turned out she was being chased. Luckily, the police had left, but Sanji still wouldn't let her go. It turned out he was having a nosebleed because he was so happy. When she was about to leave, not wanting to involve Sanji, but Sanji promised to help her, which made her very happy and said, "I've fallen in love with you." This made Sanji's emotions surge. She introduced herself as Violet, and she wanted Sanji's help to kill someone, while Zoro was still chasing the thief. Sanji was already following Violet, because he thought he had found the love of his life. He was determined to protect Violet. Meanwhile, Luffy and Franky arrived at the Coliseum, making Luffy very excited, because the inside of the Coliseum was very lively. Suddenly, they saw the police chasing a toy soldier, but the soldier managed to jump inside the Coliseum's boundary, so the police couldn't continue chasing him, because that was the rule of the Coliseum. After the police left, the toy soldier jumped down to chat with Luffy, making Luffy find him very interesting. Suddenly, this girl announced that the registration time was almost up, so Luffy immediately went to register, making everyone surprised, because Luffy just looked like an old, frail man. They thought he wouldn't be able to defeat the commanders of the Don Quixote family. When Luffy was about to write his name, he was suddenly hit by Franky, because he couldn't use his real name, so Luffy changed his name to Lucy. At this moment, Franky didn't forget to remind Luffy not to reveal his true identity. So, Luffy entered the Coliseum. Suddenly, Franky noticed that the toy soldier was very worried. Franky realized that he was a local resident, so Franky asked him to show him the location of the Smile Factory. Meanwhile, Sanji was still following Violet. Seeing Violet's cuteness made Sanji even more infatuated with her. Suddenly, they saw the police approaching, so Violet pulled Sanji to run away with her. This made Sanji feel very happy. At this point, Luffy noticed many gladiators in the Coliseum, making him excited. However, they saw Luffy as just an old, weak man, so they underestimated him. Suddenly, a big guy named Spartan came to pick a fight with Luffy, because he believed the place was only for the strong, not for the weak like Luffy. So, he attacked Luffy. Unexpectedly, Luffy easily dodged all his attacks, then quickly grabbed him and threw him to the ground. This left everyone astonished, because Luffy defeated Spartan with just one move. Suddenly, a soldier announced that Luffy was disqualified from the competition, because the Coliseum rules didn't allow fighting outside the matches. However, 3 people stopped the soldier. Everyone recognized them as the Chinjao family. They were defending Luffy, because they saw Spartan was the one who started the fight first. So, Luffy went to thank them. At this moment, the powerful gladiators of the arena began to appear one by one. They were all famous figures across the world. It turned out that Bellamy was also participating in this battle. However, Luffy was only concerned about whether the arena served food. At this moment, the gladiators from Block A had entered the battle area. This made the audience very excited. It turned out that in the first round, they would all fight each other in a free-for-all. Surrounding the battle stage was a school of fighting fish. Thus, the gladiators would not be able to leave the stage. As soon as the battle started, they began attacking each other. This greatly amused the audience. Meanwhile, Luffy had entered the arena's armory. This made him very happy, because he could use all sorts of weapons there. Suddenly, Luffy noticed a statue of Kyros. He was the hero of the arena. While Luffy was gathering weapons, a handsome young man began walking toward him, causing the female staff of the arena to faint, because they were captivated by his good looks. Everyone recognized him as the pirate prince, Cavendish. Suddenly, Cavendish saw Luffy carrying too many weapons. So, he reminded Luffy that the arena had a weight limit, and he confidently stated that he would be the winner, because Cavendish's bounty was 280 million berries. This made the female staff there even more infatuated with Cavendish. But, Luffy didn't care about him, which made Cavendish furious. At this moment, Luffy was very disappointed, because he had to put down some of the weapons on his person. It turned out that Cavendish had previously seen Luffy easily defeat Spartan, so, he asked, "What is your name?" But, Luffy said, "I am Luffy, the one who will become the Pirate King." This surprised everyone, because they saw that his name was Lucy. They thought they had heard wrong. Cavendish said that if he encountered Luffy the Straw Hat here, he would definitely kill him. It turned out Cavendish hated Luffy very much, because 2 years ago, he was a very famous pirate, so everyone admired him. But, after the Whitebeard War at Marineford, Luffy's reputation had surpassed his. Even his own reputation was now ranked below the worst generation pirates, so, he was determined to take revenge on Luffy. But, Luffy still didn't care about him, which made Cavendish furious. It turned out Luffy was disguising himself to look like the statue of Kyros. Suddenly, a girl came up and started talking to him. She introduced herself as Rebecca. At this moment, Rebecca told Luffy that Kyros was the legendary gladiator of this arena, because he had won 3,000 undefeated battles. Suddenly, a group of gladiators came to tease Rebecca, because they saw that Rebecca was too weak, so, they believed it would be easy to defeat her. Although Rebecca was always bullied, she didn't care about them, because her goal was to kill Doflamingo. This surprised Luffy. So, Rebecca said goodbye to Luffy and left. On the side of Block A, there was someone who had defeated many gladiators. This made the audience very excited, because he was very strong. Luffy was also curious to watch his match. Unexpectedly, with just one blow, he sent the gladiators flying into the air, and he immediately won. Suddenly, he removed his mask, causing everyone in the arena to be surprised, because he was the commander of the Blackbeard Pirates. Burgess. Luffy recognized him as the person he had met before. At this moment, the old man in the hat was also in the arena. He realized that many famous pirates were here, so, it was time for him to take action, and he put on his marine coat. It turned out he was Fleet Admiral Fujitora, so, he ordered all the marines on the island to take action. At this time, Luffy saw many injured gladiators. Suddenly, Bellamy appeared. It turned out he recognized Luffy as the Straw Hat. This surprised Luffy, because last time, Luffy had defeated him with just one punch. Luffy didn't understand why he was here, and Bellamy explained to Luffy that, since he was young, he had admired Doflamingo greatly, so, he wanted to win this tournament, to have Doflamingo acknowledge his strength. After losing to Luffy, Bellamy had also gone to Skypia, which helped him start changing his view of the world. So, now Bellamy no longer hated Luffy. Then, Bellamy left. On Law's side, he was leading Caesar to the meeting point with Doflamingo. Robin realized they needed to cross this bridge, to reach Greenbit Island. But, the cafe owner warned them, that there were many fighting fish beneath the bridge. This scared Usopp, so, he and Caesar suggested Law change the location. But, Law disagreed, and he felt that this kingdom was very strange, because their king had abdicated. However, the people here were still very comfortable. Suddenly, Robin saw that CP0 was also here. Law realized they were Cypher Pole agents working for the world government. Meanwhile, Zoro was still trying to chase the thief. So, he jumped up and recovered his sword. Unexpectedly, Zoro was then thrown to the ground by the fairy, and both of them fell down. Suddenly, Zoro saw the appearance of the fairy, which surprised him. On Kinnamon's side, he was running to find Conqueror. Suddenly, he was surrounded by Doflamingo's soldiers. It turns out they had recognized Kinnamon's identity, and they used Conqueror's life to threaten Kinnamon, so he couldn't resist them. At this point, the B-block battle had begun, making Luffy excited to watch them. While Sanji was lost in love with Violet, unexpectedly, Doflamingo's subordinates were watching them. When one of them tried to assassinate Sanji, he was immediately detected and taken down by Sanji. This made him very happy, because he could show his strength in front of Violet. Meanwhile, Nami's group was still guarding the sunny ship. Momo was lying on Nami's lap. This made him very happy, but, when Brook imitated him and lay down, he was immediately hit by Nami. Suddenly, they heard someone crashing around in the kitchen. This scared them, so, Nami told Brook and Chopper to check it out. They didn't expect that everything inside had turned into a painted space. This surprised them. On Luffy's side, he was still waiting to watch the B-block match. Then, the final participant of Block B appeared. It turned out he was Bartolomeo. This made the audience very excited. Suddenly, Bartolomeo said, "All of you die." This made everyone angry, so they threw trash into the arena. Meanwhile, Luffy didn't know who Bartolomeo was. Thus, Cavendish told Luffy, he is the captain of a pirate crew with a bounty of 150 million berry. At this point, everyone hated him. Suddenly, he threw something onto the stands. This scared everyone, because they thought it was a bomb. So, everyone pushed each other to get away. It turned out it was just a ball. Bartolomeo saw people were scared, so he called them trash. This made them angry. Luffy realized Bartolomeo was a peculiar character. Suddenly, another fighter appeared. He was someone who voluntarily served Doflamingo. Everyone recognized him as Bellamy. It turns out if Bellamy wins this tournament, he will join Doflamingo's pirate crew, and he is considered a candidate for this tournament's championship. This made everyone very excited. While Luffy was unsure how to watch this chaotic battle, Cavendish told Luffy to focus on the strong ones, and he introduced Luffy to them. The first one is Elisabello II. The second is Tactician Dagama. The third is the warrior from the long-legged tribe, Gilly. Next is the master of fishman karate. But, the most noteworthy are still Bellamy and Bartolomeo. Finally, the match began. So, the fighters started attacking each other. Bellamy used his devil fruit powers to attack them. He quickly took down many other gladiators. This surprised everyone, because Bellamy was very strong. Suddenly, Bellamy saw them cooperating. It turned out they were protecting Bello. This confused everyone about what they were doing, because this was a chaotic battle. It turns out Dagama had planned this. He realized King Bello could deliver a devastating punch, and it could destroy an entire fortress. However, his punch needed a lot of time to charge up. This delighted Bellamy, so he attacked Bello's guards. Luffy found this match very interesting. Suddenly, he saw a gladiator who seemed very strong, because he had defeated many other gladiators. Cavendish recognized him as Ricky, but his identity remained a mystery. While everyone was curious about who would win, they suddenly saw Bartolomeo sleeping. This made everyone angry, because he wasn't taking the fight seriously. Meanwhile, Cavendish was still very resentful of Luffy. If Luffy appeared there, he would definitely kill him. This made Luffy worried, because he was afraid his identity would be exposed. Suddenly, a large old man approached them. This surprised Luffy. He didn't know who he was. Suddenly, the old man asked, "How's Garp these days?" Luffy replied, "Do you know my grandfather?" This surprised Cavendish, because he is Luffy the Straw Hat. It turns out this old man also had a grudge against Garp, so he also hated Garp's descendants. When Cavendish learned that Lucy was indeed Luffy, he became furious and wanted to kill him. But, the old man immediately attacked Luffy. At this point, everyone realized he was Don Chinjao, the man with a bounty of 542 million berry. While Cavendish was about to remove Luffy's fake beard, Don Chinjao continued attacking both of them. This made Cavendish uncomfortable, so he decided to fight him, and Cavendish blocked Don Chinjao's attack. But Don Chinjao completely overwhelmed him, so he continued attacking them. This made Luffy angry. Luffy jumped up and punched Don Chinjao to the ground, but Don Chinjao was still unharmed. Luffy realized he was very strong. Suddenly, he became serious. He decided to defeat Luffy. Sai and Boo saw their grandfather losing control, so they tried to stop him, because if he fought there, he would be disqualified immediately. At this point, the soldiers also arrived. But Cavendish noticed Luffy had disappeared. This made him angry, and he went looking for Luffy. It turned out Luffy had managed to climb out the window, so he temporarily escaped from them. Meanwhile, the B-block battle was still ongoing. Hack continuously defeated many gladiators with fishman karate. Suddenly, a fat guy attacked him. Unexpectedly, Hack easily blocked his attack, and he knocked him out of the arena with just one hit. This excited everyone. It turns out he is a close friend of Jinbei, and they had trained fishman karate together. While Ricky was still continuously defeating many other gladiators, everyone was curious. They didn't know who he was. At this point, Gilly was defeating Bello's guards. They recognized he was very strong, so Bellamy also began to act, and he immediately defeated these two gladiators. This delighted everyone. While everyone was fighting fiercely, the audience saw Bartolomeo urinating. This made them angry, so Hack decided to deal with Bartolomeo. He attacked him from behind. This surprised everyone, because Hack's arm was broken. They didn't know what Bartolomeo had done, so Bartolomeo defeated Hack. Meanwhile, the others were still fighting. Unexpectedly, Gilly kicked and shattered Ricky's mask. Everyone realized he was an old man. It turned out he also hated Doflamingo. While these gladiators thought Dagama's plan was perfect, they were suddenly attacked by Gilly. This made them worried, because Gilly was very strong. Unexpectedly, Dagama had betrayed them. This surprised them. It turns out he and Gilly were accomplices. This made the gladiators very angry. While Gilly was attacking other gladiators, suddenly, Dagama betrayed Gilly again. But he was immediately defeated by Gilly. It turns out he realized Dagama was just an opportunist, so Gilly redirected his attack towards Bello. Meanwhile, Bellamy charged to attack Bartolomeo. Unexpectedly, he was immediately knocked back. This confused everyone about what Bartolomeo had done. But Bellamy still didn't give up, because his goal was to join Doflamingo's crew. So, he continued to charge at Bartolomeo with incredible speed. Even though he thought he had hit him, he was still knocked back again. This caused Bellamy to be injured. He didn't know what devil fruit Bartolomeo had eaten. Luffy noticed that Bellamy had changed and was very determined, so he encouraged Bellamy. Meanwhile, Gilly and the other gladiators wanted to attack King Bello, because he had no more guards protecting him. Suddenly, he stopped charging up. It turns out he was ready for his destructive punch. Everyone recalled hearing a rumor that King Bello's punch was so powerful it could defeat an emperor. Suddenly, the entire arena began to shake. This made everyone anxious, because they felt King Bello's power. It scared them into running away. So, King Bello unleashed a powerful punch, creating a massive explosion inside the arena. This surprised everyone. Unexpectedly, the punch destroyed a part of the arena. This excited the crowd, because they thought King Bello had won. At this point, Bellamy and the other gladiators had been defeated, but they saw one person still remaining in the arena. This surprised everyone, because it was Bartolomeo. It turns out he had eaten the barrier fruit, allowing him to create barriers. So, he immediately defeated King Bello. In the end, Bartolomeo won. But everyone still disliked him. At this point, Bartolomeo was determined to get the Mera fruit, so that he could offer it to that person. On Frankie's side, he realized the toy soldier also wanted to destroy the Smile Factory, and he said he would tell Frankie the truth about this kingdom. While Luffy was worried that Cavendish and Don Chinjao would continue to cause trouble for him, so he decided to hide. At this moment, Luffy saw many injured gladiators. Suddenly, he saw Bellamy was also severely injured. This surprised Luffy. Bellamy asked Luffy, "Why did you cheer for me?" Luffy said, "Because you've changed," and Bellamy called Luffy by name. Unexpectedly, Bartolomeo overheard this. This surprised him. On Law's team, they were bringing Caesar to the meeting point with Doflamingo. Suddenly, they saw a gigantic fighting fish appear. This scared Usopp and Caesar, so the fighting fish attacked them. Robin used her devil fruit powers to stop them, and they immediately ran away. But the fighting fish continued to chase them. Suddenly, Law told Usopp to unlock Caesar's cuffs, because he was holding his heart, so he definitely wouldn't dare betray them. As soon as Caesar's cuffs were removed, he immediately shot lasers at the fighting fish. To help Law's team quickly cross the bridge, it turns out Law wanted to conserve his strength, to prepare for the battle with Doflamingo. Unexpectedly, they saw the bridge had collapsed, and a fighting fish was charging at them. As Law was about to use his devil fruit powers to cross, the fighting fish was caught. This surprised Luffy's group, because they didn't know who did this. It turned out the gigantic fighting fish was pulled away by someone. Then, Law told Caesar to get them across the bridge. This made Caesar very angry, but he still had to obey him. Finally, they arrived at Greenbit Island. This surprised Usopp, because it was a vast forest. On the C-block arena, the match was about to begin. This excited everyone. Luffy realized it was his turn to fight. The powerful gladiators of Block C started to appear one by one. Meanwhile, Don Chinjao only wanted to defeat Luffy immediately. On Sanji's side, he was still with Violet, and she led Sanji to her enemy's base. So, Sanji broke into their base. This surprised them. So, they surrounded Sanji. But, Sanji quickly defeated all of them. Suddenly, Violet was captured by them, as they were using her to threaten Sanji. Unexpectedly, he vanished and kicked them with a powerful blow, sending them flying far away. So, Violet hugged Sanji, making him very happy. Suddenly, Violet immediately shackled Sanji's hands and feet, revealing her true nature. On Law's side, they saw many giant trees. Suddenly, Usopp spotted a gigantic marine ship. Robin realized this marine ship had just been stuck there, so she was sure the Marines would appear soon. This worried Caesar, because Doflamingo had abandoned his warlord position. Doflamingo could no longer protect Caesar. At this point, Law told Robin and Usopp to go into the forest to check, while he waited here for Doflamingo. So, Robin and Usopp entered the forest, making Usopp very scared. Suddenly, Robin saw the Marines. Both of them didn't understand who they were talking to. Unexpectedly, the Marines were robbed of all their belongings, causing them to flee in fear. Suddenly, Robin saw someone hiding, so she used her devil fruit powers to capture him. This surprised Robin, because he was a tiny person. On Zoro's side, he was running around the town, making everyone unsure of what he was doing. It turns out Zoro had seen the fairy's shape earlier. He recognized her as a tiny person, so Zoro captured her, making her cry. She introduced herself as Wicca, a member of the Tontata tribe. She said she was in a hurry, so Zoro released her. Unexpectedly, Wicca had a sprained foot, making it impossible for her to walk. Zoro realized she was very strong, so she asked Zoro to take her with him, because she needed to report Doflamingo's location to her leader, and they were planning to attack the Straw Hat ship. This surprised Zoro. He realized Nami's group was in danger, so Zoro decided to help Wicca. At this point, Wicca was trying to direct Zoro, but he kept running in the opposite direction. Thus, Wicca asked, "Are you lost?" On Don Chinjao's side, he was still searching for Luffy, making him angry and wanting to attack everyone. Fortunately, his two grandsons managed to stop him. Seeing that Don Chinjao had left, Luffy felt relieved. While Sanji was captured by Violet, she felt that Sanji was useless, because he was too easy to deceive, making her subordinates find it amusing. But Sanji still believed Violet was a good girl, making Violet angry, so she kicked Sanji in the face, because she thought Sanji was just lying to seduce her. Violet said she had eaten the glare fruit, which allowed her to see through everyone's thoughts. Thus, she used her devil fruit power to read Sanji's mind. Unexpectedly, she saw nothing but women, so Violet realized Sanji was a pervert. At this point, Sanji said he knew Violet genuinely wanted to kill someone, because Violet's eyes did not lie. So, Sanji exclaimed, "I will never doubt a woman with a tear on her cheek." While Doflamingo's subordinates thought what Sanji said was foolish, making Violet angry. When they were about to kill Sanji, she used her eye whale technique to defeat them all. At this point, Violet released Sanji, which surprised him. She then told Sanji to run away and leave her. But, Sanji still wanted to protect Violet. He realized Violet's enemy was Doflamingo. At this point, she realized the Straw Hat crew had fallen into Doflamingo's plan, so she showed Sanji the entire plan, which shocked Sanji. The battle for Group C in the arena was about to begin. Suddenly, Luffy saw a gigantic bull, which he found very interesting. At this moment, Mick announced that the battle had started, so everyone entered the arena. Rebecca saw the toy soldier, thus, she called out to him. Rebecca promised that she would definitely win this battle, and they would be able to live together, but the toy soldier told Frankie to keep running, making Frankie wonder why he was abandoning the girl. It turns out he needed to quickly complete his plan. On Robin and Usopp's side, they were very surprised, because they had captured a tiny person. Suddenly, they were shot with tranquilizer darts, causing both of them to fall unconscious. At this point, the tiny people were examining Robin's body, causing her to wake up, which surprised them. but Robin realized she was being restrained. It turns out they had sewn her body tightly to the ground, because the tiny person had eaten the so-so fruit, which allowed him to sew anything together. He introduced himself as Leo, a warrior from the Tontata tribe. At this point, they thought Robin was an enemy trying to destroy their kingdom, but Robin said she was not a bad person. Unexpectedly, Leo believed Robin and released her, surprising Robin, because they were too trusting of others, so she met their chief. Robin realized everyone in this tribe was very cute. When Robin was about to leave to inform Law, they stopped her, because they couldn't let her leave yet. Suddenly, a tiny person arrived with news that Usopp was a friend of the hero, which surprised everyone. Robin realized the time for Law to meet Doflamingo had come. On Law's side, he received a call from Sanji, so Sanji immediately informed Law, "You must leave immediately, because Doflamingo has not abandoned his warlord position." This surprised Law. It turns out Violet had shown Sanji the entire plan of Doflamingo. As all the people were confused about why Doflamingo was stepping down, suddenly, they saw the world government's ship approaching. At this moment, CP0 announced to everyone that Doflamingo's resignation was a mistake, causing the people of the kingdom to rejoice. After Sanji learned the truth, he was very surprised, because the world government agreed to help Doflamingo. It was a privilege that pirates could never have. While Doflamingo was flying towards Law, and Fujitora was also heading towards Law. At this moment, Law realized it was too late for him to leave. Suddenly, Robin sent her clone to Law, so Law told Robin and Usopp to leave the island immediately. But Fujitora appeared, making Caesar fearful. Law recognized him as the new fleet admiral. At this moment, Doflamingo also arrived, making the situation even more tense. Meanwhile, Caesar was very pleased, because Doflamingo had come to rescue him. In the arena, Luffy's match had begun, making the gladiators excited to fight each other. Suddenly, a big guy saw Luffy, so he attacked him. When he thought he had hit Luffy, Luffy managed to dodge, and immediately punched him in the face. Everyone realized that Luffy's hands could stretch just like Luffy's, so he tried to hide his strength. Despite that, Luffy was still able to defeat many other gladiators, but the big guy continued to attack Luffy. Unexpectedly, his attacks were ineffective against Luffy, and Luffy immediately threw him into the water. On Doflamingo's side, he was very pleased, because Law had fallen into his trap. At this moment, Law was very surprised, because Doflamingo could deceive the whole world, and only celestial dragons had the power to do this. So, Law was determined not to hand Caesar over to him, because Doflamingo had broken their agreement. Meanwhile, Doflamingo thought Fujitora was on his side, and he would help him capture Law. Suddenly, Fujitora used his devil fruit power on the sky, causing Law and Doflamingo to be surprised, as a giant meteor was falling towards them, making Caesar and the Marines flee in fear. So, Law used his devil fruit ability to counter the meteor. Doflamingo and Fujitora also used their powers to stop it, creating a massive explosion, causing Caesar and the Marines to be astonished. At this moment, they were curious about the outcome. Unexpectedly, all three remained unharmed after the terrifying explosion, causing Doflamingo to become furious. He didn't understand why Fujitora attacked him as well, so Fujitora said, "I just wanted to test your strength." Meanwhile, Frankie had informed Sanji that Luffy had joined the battle in the arena, causing Sanji to be shocked, because they didn't follow the plan. Suddenly, Violet realized that Doflamingo's subordinates were coming after them, so she gave Sanji a map showing the location of the Smile Factory. Violet told Sanji to leave, because if he stayed with her, he would be in danger. But Sanji was determined to protect Violet. She found Sanji to be very interesting, so Violet left. Suddenly, Kinemon appeared. This prevented Sanji from chasing Violet. At this moment, Doflamingo's subordinates also arrived, so Sanji immediately defeated them. On Luffy's side, he had already defeated many other gladiators. Suddenly, he encountered the large bull from earlier. Luffy was very intrigued. It turns out that this bull had killed many people in the arena, so it was called Brutal Bull. At this moment, Brutal Bull immediately attacked Luffy. But Luffy remained still. This led everyone to think that Luffy was too afraid to move. Unexpectedly, Luffy used Gear 2, and he continuously dodged Brutal Bull's attacks. This made Brutal Bull very angry. Suddenly, Luffy used Conqueror's Haki. This made Brutal Bull fear and stop. Everyone was surprised, because Luffy had tamed Brutal Bull. On Robin and Usopp's side, They realized that Law's fight was very intense. Meanwhile, the Tontata tribe was very admiring of Usopp, because they thought he was a hero. It turned out that Usopp realized the hero they were referring to was liar Noland. So, Leo explained to them, 400 years ago, Noland was a person of this kingdom, and he helped the Tontata tribe take over this island, thus, he became their hero. It turned out that Usopp had lied about being a descendant of Noland. Thanks to that, he was able to save Robin. At this moment, they all trusted and encouraged Usopp to defeat Doflamingo. This made him anxious. On Nami's side, they were in shock, because the kitchen on the Sunny ship had turned into a strange space. Suddenly, an old woman appeared. It turned out she was Giola, a subordinate of Doflamingo. She then used her devil fruit powers to throw at Nami's group. Unexpectedly, Giola transformed them into bizarre forms. This made them unable to understand what she had done. It turned out Giola had eaten the art fruit. This allowed her to turn everything into a work of art. So, Giola told them to hand over Momo to her, as Giola continued to attack Nami's group. Fortunately, Nami managed to block her attack and escape. Giola saw Nami's group running away, which made her furious, because she couldn't chase after them. It turned out Nami was luring her, to prevent Giola from using her powers on the Sunny. Suddenly, Giola called her subordinates, to have them use the ship to chase Nami's group, and Giola continued to use her devil fruit powers on the Sunny. This caused Nami's group to worry, because she had transformed the Sunny into a work of art. On Diamante's side, he had given Bellamy a letter from Doflamingo. It turned out he wanted Bellamy to kill Luffy. If Bellamy succeeded, he would be allowed to join Doflamingo's pirate crew. Meanwhile, Bartolomeo had gone to meet Cavendish. Because he realized Cavendish wanted to kill Lucy, Bartolomeo warned Cavendish not to kill him, because he and Lucy had a very deep relationship. While the gladiators in the arena were fighting fiercely, at that moment, a giant had defeated many other gladiators. It turned out his name was Haruden. This delighted the audience, because he was very strong. Haruden was determined to obtain the Mera fruit, to help him become the king of Elbaf. But everyone's attention shifted to Luffy, because he had tamed Brutal Bull, and Luffy had named it UC. This excited everyone. Suddenly, UC charged at Haruden. This made him angry, so, he attacked Luffy and UC. This made everyone worry, because they thought Luffy and UC had been crushed. While Haruden thought he had defeated Luffy, it turned out Luffy was still unharmed. This surprised everyone. Luffy saw UC had been hurt by him, which made Luffy very angry. He immediately used Gear 2 and punched Haruden in the face, shocking everyone, because Haruden was defeated by Luffy with just one blow. While the other gladiators were amazed by Luffy's strength. At that moment, Luffy carried UC to a corner of the arena. Rebecca was also very surprised, because she didn't think Lucy was that strong. Suddenly, a gladiator walked up to Haruden, and he delivered an extremely powerful punch, sending Haruden flying into the stands. Everyone then realized he was Idio, nicknamed Destruction Cannon. At that moment, he began to challenge Luffy, because he recognized Luffy as very strong. So, Luffy decided to fight him as well. On Zoro's side, Wicca was very annoyed, because Zoro kept taking the wrong path. But, Zoro blamed her for being a poor guide, which made Wicca angry, and she punched Zoro in the face. She continuously scolded Zoro, because if he continued to delay, she wouldn't be able to inform everyone about Doflamingo in time. This made Zoro angry, so, he threw Wicca away, and Zoro decided to go alone. While Wicca was worried, suddenly, she saw Zoro coming back. She realized Zoro was definitely lost, but she still begged Zoro for help. So, Zoro agreed to help her. This made Wicca very happy. On Fujitora's side, he had pulled down another meteorite, so, Law used his devil fruit powers to block his attack. Suddenly, Doflamingo also attacked Law, causing Law to immediately run away. This amused Doflamingo, who chased after him. It turned out he realized Law was trying to buy time. So, Law was surrounded by Doflamingo and Fujitora. Meanwhile, Idio was continuously attacking Luffy. Luffy noticed that his punches exploded like bombs. Idio said, "I will get the Mera fruit," making Luffy angry as he replied, "I won't let you have it." At that moment, Don Chinjao's two grandsons had defeated the other gladiators, astonishing everyone. Unexpectedly, Don Chinjao could also use Conqueror's haki, causing many gladiators to faint. So everyone realized, this was the power of someone with a 500 million berry bounty. Meanwhile, the two brothers, Kelly and Bobby, had brutally defeated the gladiator. people realized they were famous assassins from the underworld. So, Boo immediately came to challenge them. Unexpectedly, Boo defeated Kelly with a single punch. When he wanted to deal with Bobby next, he was surprised to find his weapon had broken, because Bobby's body was too hard. So, Kelly and Bobby decided to merge. On Luffy's side, he was still fighting Idio. Unexpectedly, he made Luffy drop his hat, causing Luffy to anxiously run away. On Boo's side, he was defeated by Kelly, surprising everyone. While Luffy was afraid of being exposed, suddenly, Don Chinjao found him. So, he continuously attacked Luffy. Meanwhile, Luffy was chasing Jean Ango to get his hat back. Unexpectedly, Jean Ango realized he was Luffy the Straw Hat, so he continuously attacked Luffy. While Kelly had defeated many other gladiators, everyone wondered why Bobby had disappeared. It turned out that before, Kelly had transformed into a coat for Bobby to wear, and that was how they merged. So, Kelly attacked and defeated Boo. At that moment, Sai saw his brother being defeated, which made him very angry. Thus, Sai fought Kelly. Unexpectedly, Sai's strength completely overpowered him, and Sai immediately defeated Kelly with a single blow, delighting everyone. At this moment, Idio saw how strong Sai was, so he decided to fight Sai. On Nami's side, they were still being chased by Giola's subordinates, but she immediately created lightning clouds, surprising them. So, Nami quickly defeated them, which made Giola angry. On the arena side, Jean Ango had gathered many weapons, surprising Luffy. It turned out he wanted to use all these weapons to defeat Luffy, so he continuously threw swords at Luffy, but Luffy easily dodged them, causing him to not understand why he kept missing. Suddenly, he noticed Don Chinjao was behind Luffy, and he threw a sword at him, making him worried. So, Don Chinjao immediately defeated Jean Ango. On Sai and Idio's side, they were fighting fiercely, delighting everyone, because they were both very strong. People believed that both were contenders for the championship. At this moment, Luffy had found his hat again, but he was spotted by Don Chinjao. So, Don Chinjao blamed Luffy's grandfather because Garp had taken everything from him. However, he was not a match for Garp. Thus, Don Chinjao decided to defeat Luffy to get revenge on Garp. Luffy realized there was no other choice, so he decided to fight seriously, and Luffy immediately used Gear 2. Thus, Luffy and Don Chinjao charged at each other. Suddenly, Sai and Idio blocked their path, causing both to be knocked aside by Luffy and Don Chinjao. At this point, Luffy and Don Chinjao used armament haki to face each other. They even both used Conqueror's haki. This caused everyone in the arena to faint. Unexpectedly, their punches created a massive shockwave in the arena, surprising everyone. Diamante realized this was a Conqueror's haki clash. At this point, only Luffy and Don Chinjao remained on the arena floor. He noticed that Luffy also had Conqueror's haki, so he asked, "What kind of king do you want to become?" "I want to become the Pirate King," but Don Chinjao said Luffy was too inexperienced, because in the world, all strong people have Conqueror's haki. When Don Chinjao learned that Rayleigh had taught haki to Luffy, he became even angrier, because he had a grudge against Rayleigh from before. Suddenly, Don Chinjao started crying, surprising everyone, and he told Luffy that 30 years ago, it was Garp who had taken everything from him, causing him to angrily continue attacking Luffy. But Don Chinjao couldn't remember what Garp had done to him, and he continued to cry. This made Luffy not understand what this old man wanted. On Frankie's side, he was wondering who had created the toys in this kingdom, because he thought that person might be a genius like Vegapunk. Suddenly, they saw a toy claiming to be the boyfriend of a girl, causing her to be frightened, and very quickly, the toy was taken away by soldiers, but he continuously insisted that he was human, causing Frankie to be confused about what was happening. So, the toy soldier asked a toy dog to explain it to Frankie. It turned out that the toy dog was the father of the boy, and the toy soldier had come to ask them, but the boy didn't know who his father was. At this point, the toy soldier told Frankie that all toys are actually humans, but those who were turned into toys are forgotten by everyone around them, because in Doflamingo's crew, there is someone who ate a devil fruit that allows her to turn people into toys. This surprised Frankie. Meanwhile, Luffy was still fighting Don Chinjao, astonishing everyone, because Don Chinjao was extremely strong. So, Don Chinjao headbutted Luffy, but Luffy immediately inflated his body to block Don Chinjao, causing him to be knocked backward. However, Don Chinjao was still determined to get revenge on Luffy and Garp. so he continued to headbutt Luffy. But Luffy immediately threw him down. While everyone thought Don Chinjao had lost, he surprisingly stood up immediately, and Don Chinjao changed to a spinning attack position. So Luffy jumped up and continuously punched him. Meanwhile, Law was still being chased by Doflamingo. He tried to contact Robin, but Law couldn't get in touch. Suddenly, Fujitora continued to call down more meteorites to attack Law, causing the area of Leo's tribe to shake. Meanwhile, they had planned for Usopp to face Doflamingo, making Usopp worried, because they wanted to rescue 500 members of their tribe, who were being forced to work by Doflamingo, so they would proceed to the Dressrosa arena. It turned out that the Smile Factory was located beneath the arena. At this moment, Leo told Usopp that they had a tunnel leading to the Dressrosa arena, which surprised Usopp, because they had prepared an entire army for battle. Unexpectedly, they had also prepared 2 cute riding beasts for Usopp and Robin, which they were very pleased with, so they set off. At this point, the toy soldier had led Frankie down the wrong path. It turned out that below was the base of the tiny people tribe. Making everyone very happy, the toy soldier explained that they were his allies. Suddenly, Frankie saw Zoro there as well. While Zoro was very angry, because Luffy joined the fight in the arena without inviting him. At this moment, they announced that their hero, Usoland, was coming. So, Zoro realized Usoland was actually Usopp. Meanwhile, Luffy was still being attacked by Don Chinjao, who continued to use his spinning attack. So, Luffy used Gear 2 and attacked him with a powerful blow, causing him to be sent flying. Everyone saw Luffy matching Don Chinjao's strength, which delighted them. On Nami's side, they were fighting Giola to regain the Sunny, but she had turned sorcery climax into something bizarre, so she couldn't use her weapon. At this moment, everyone was unable to fight. Suddenly, Law called them. He announced that the plan had failed, so Law needed them to come immediately. Then he could hand Caesar over to them. This surprised everyone, as they were also facing trouble. At this point, Law was caught up by Doflamingo, and he shot him. Doflamingo told Law to return Caesar's heart, and he believed Luffy wouldn't be able to come to Law's aid, because he was busy fighting powerful opponents in the arena. Meanwhile, Luffy was fiercely fighting Don Chinjao. Both were continuously delivering powerful punches to each other, creating shockwaves that shook the entire arena, astonishing everyone. They realized both were very strong, so they couldn't guess who would win. They were even fighting at extremely high speed, causing everyone to be unable to keep up with their speed. At this moment, Don Chinjao praised Luffy for being very strong, but he continued to cry. Because of Garp, he had become weaker. This made Luffy angry, as he still didn't understand why Don Chinjao hated him. It turned out that 30 years ago, Don Chinjao's head was very pointed. He could even easily break through a thick layer of ice with his pointed head, and it helped him acquire many treasures, so he was called Chinjao the Drill, which made him very proud of his pointed head. Don Chinjao believed no marine could defeat him, until he met Garp. It turned out that Garp had previously destroyed 8 mountains with his fists, so he was very confident in his punches. Then, they faced off against each other. Even their strength made the island shake, but Garp's punch was harder, and he drove Don Chinjao's pointed forehead back into his skull. Since then, Don Chinjao lost his pointed head, so he could no longer acquire treasures under the ice. This made him hate Garp intensely, even hating Garp's descendants. And finally, he encountered Luffy here, so he made Luffy pay for what his grandfather had done. But Luffy said, "I am different from my grandfather, because I will become the Pirate King." However, Don Chinjao said Luffy was too naive, because there are many stronger people than him, and he considered Blackbeard to be the one with the greatest chance of becoming Pirate King. So, Don Chinjao continued his spinning attack against Luffy, but Luffy caught him, and Luffy used a fiery punch to attack Don Chinjao, sending him flying. However, Don Chinjao still got up, so they decided to end the match. Luffy jumped high and used Gear 3, while Don Chinjao also used Armament Haki. This surprised everyone, as Luffy's arm grew larger. So, Don Chinjao charged at Luffy at high speed, and Luffy responded with an extremely powerful punch. Unexpectedly, Luffy's punch made Don Chinjao's drill-like forehead reappear, astonishing everyone, and Don Chinjao fell, splitting the entire arena in half. In the end, only Luffy remained in the arena, so he won the match, which made everyone very happy. Meanwhile, Cavendish was very angry. He wanted to fight Luffy immediately. At this moment, Burgess also realized that Lucy was actually Luffy the Straw Hat. Now, Luffy had defeated Don Chinjao, so he made it to the finals of the arena. Gats announced that there were 3 people who made it to the finals. The first person was Burgess, the second person was Bartolomeo, and the last person was Lucy. However, the arena had been severely damaged by the battle between Luffy and Don Chinjao, so they needed time to repair it for the next fight in Block D. Suddenly, Luffy encountered Cavendish. He was determined to kill Luffy at all costs. This made Bartolomeo furious, because Cavendish continuously hunted Luffy. Suddenly, there were 2 people speaking ill of Luffy in front of Bartolomeo. This made Bartolomeo extremely angry. So, Bartolomeo attacked them immediately. They didn't understand why Bartolomeo attacked them. But, Bartolomeo said, Luffy Senpai is the leader of this era, and he will definitely become the Pirate King. It turned out that 2 years ago, Bartolomeo had seen Luffy in Logatown, when he was about to be executed by Buggy. But, Luffy still declared, I will become the Pirate King. This shocked Bartolomeo. Unexpectedly, a bolt of lightning struck from the sky to save Luffy. Thanks to that, Luffy remained safe. Since then, Bartolomeo has always followed the news about the Straw Hat crew. This made him very excited, because Luffy continually shook the world. He even collected a complete set of wanted posters of the Straw Hat crew. After that, Bartolomeo also set sail to be like Luffy, so he didn't want to hear anyone speak ill of Luffy in front of him. Thus, Bartolomeo went mad and attacked that person. Meanwhile, Luffy was still being attacked by Cavendish. But Luffy didn't want to fight him, so he held tightly onto Cavendish's sword, preventing him from pulling his sword back. While Bartolomeo was very happy to see Luffy, suddenly, Don Chinjao also came to find Luffy. Luffy thought they wanted to continue causing trouble for him. It turned out he wanted to thank Luffy, because he helped Don Chinjao restore his sharp head. But, Luffy immediately ran away, so they chased after him. Luckily, Rebecca appeared. She quickly pulled Luffy to run with her, to help him escape from those who were pursuing him. Accidentally, Luffy ran into Burgess, who was calling Blackbeard. When Blackbeard learned that Luffy was also there, it made him very excited, because it was Blackbeard who had captured Ace and sent him to impel down. At that moment, Blackbeard declared to Luffy that Burgess would be the one to obtain the Mera Mera fruit. This made Luffy angry. He said, I won't let you guys get Ace's power. So, Burgess left. At that time, Rebecca continued to lead Luffy away. Suddenly, Luffy saw a food stall. But, Luffy had no money, so, Rebecca said she would buy it for him. This made Luffy very happy, because the food was very delicious. At that moment, Rebecca led Luffy to a place meant for prisoners. Rebecca realized that Luffy was very strong. Suddenly, someone grabbed Luffy from behind. It turned out that Rebecca had planned this, so she attacked Luffy. But, Luffy easily dodged it. Very quickly, Luffy managed to restrain Rebecca, causing their plan to fail. Rebecca thought Luffy would punish her, but Luffy forgave Rebecca, because she had bought food for him. This surprised her, because she had intended to kill Luffy. At this moment, the prisoners told Luffy, they and Rebecca were all gladiators who had committed crimes, because they dared to stand against Doflamingo. They were forced to continuously fight and kill in the arena, for the entertainment of others. At that moment, Rebecca said, I have to get the Mera Mera fruit to kill Doflamingo. And she told Luffy that today, the toy soldier was also planning to fight Doflamingo, so she wanted the power to protect him. Luffy realized that he was the toy soldier he had met before. Rebecca told Luffy that since the day her mother died, the toy soldier was the one who took care of her, so Rebecca saw him as her father. This surprised Luffy. At this moment, Rebecca's match was about to begin, so she had to leave. Luffy quickly wished her good luck. While Rebecca was remembering her mother, she and her mother once lived happily in a field of flowers. But one day, King Riku destroyed his own kingdom, causing the entire kingdom to be engulfed in flames. While Rebecca and her mother were being chased, it turned out that the one pursuing them was Diamante. Luckily, the toy soldier appeared to stop them and save both of them. The next morning, Rebecca was very hungry. So, Rebecca's mother decided to go buy food for her. Unexpectedly, Rebecca's mother was captured. While Rebecca was still waiting for her mother, suddenly, the toy soldier brought Rebecca's mother back. He apologized for not being able to save Rebecca's mother. This made Rebecca very sad, because her mother had to die while searching for food for her. So, the toy soldier helped Rebecca bury her mother. He told Rebecca, Doflamingo had become the new king of this kingdom. and he wanted to kill all the members of the former royal family. That's why Rebecca and her mother were being hunted. At that moment, the toy soldier was determined to protect Rebecca, and he promised that he would always be by her side. While all the people of Dressrosa were supporting Doflamingo, one day, Rebecca was surrounded by a pack of wolves. So, the toy soldier sacrificed himself to fight the wolves, causing him to be seriously injured. But he still tried to make Rebecca happy. As time went on, Rebecca grew closer to the toy soldier, and every day, he tried to earn money to take care of Rebecca. This made Rebecca very happy, because he was like a father to her. One day, Rebecca was bullied by a child. So, the toy soldier hit him. He didn't even allow these children to confess their feelings to Rebecca. Suddenly, one day Rebecca was kidnapped. This made the toy soldier very worried. So, he immediately chased after them. Unexpectedly, even though he only had one leg, he still caught up with them, and finally, he managed to save Rebecca. After that, the toy soldier decided to teach Rebecca combat techniques. But, Rebecca didn't want to hurt others, so, he told her that it was a way for Rebecca to learn to protect herself. At that moment, Rebecca stepped into the arena. Unexpectedly, everyone wanted her to die, because she carried the bloodline of the Riku royal family. This made Rebecca burst into tears. But, she was forced to fight. While Luffy didn't understand why everyone hated Rebecca, so, the prisoners told Luffy, it was because she was the granddaughter of King Riku. At this moment, everyone wanted to kill Rebecca. They even insulted her, which made Rebecca very uncomfortable. But, Luffy realized that the prisoners all loved Rebecca very much. They all hoped that Rebecca would obtain the Mera Mera fruit, so that she could bring hope to this kingdom. While Rebecca was the focal point of all the criticism, which made her uncomfortable, suddenly, Cavendish appeared, causing all the girls to be mesmerized, because he was so handsome. But, Cavendish quickly became angry and scolded them, because he realized that Rebecca was a strong girl, who was ready to risk her life to enter this arena. So, he did not allow anyone to insult her. This surprised everyone. Luffy realized that Cavendish was also a good person. Suddenly, everyone supported Cavendish, which made him very pleased. Rebecca thanked Cavendish for helping her. Meanwhile, Cavendish was very happy, because he was the center of attention. Finally, the battle began. So, all the gladiators fought each other. On Law's side, he was still facing off against Doflamingo. This caused Law to be injured. At this moment, Doflamingo continued to attack Law. So, he managed to capture him. Doflamingo then forced Law to hand over Caesar's heart to him. But, Law realized that Doflamingo's goal was to provide Smile Devil fruits to Kaido. Otherwise, Kaido would kill him. This made Doflamingo angry, and he attacked Law. But, Law managed to use his devil fruit to escape. Unexpectedly, Law was still caught by Doflamingo. When he was about to kill Law, Fujitora quickly stopped him, and he used gravity to press down on both of them. It turned out that Fujitora wanted to capture Law alive. So, Doflamingo was able to take back Caesar's heart, which made him very pleased. Meanwhile, Usopp and Robin had reached the base of the dwarf tribe, which made Frankie very happy. So, the toy soldier began to plan a battle against Doflamingo, which excited everyone. At this moment, Zoro realized that Nami's group was in danger. So, he quickly headed back to the Sunny. Wicca told Zoro that Doflamingo's 3 commanders were very powerful, because 10 years ago, they had destroyed this kingdom. Suddenly, Sanji and Kinemon saw Zoro. So, Zoro told them everything. Sanji realized that Nami was in danger. He immediately decided to go rescue Nami. Suddenly, Violet found Sanji, which made Sanji very happy. She informed Sanji that Giola had taken over their ship. Meanwhile, the battles in the Coliseum were still raging fiercely. But, Rebecca was being surrounded by other gladiators, which made Luffy very worried. So, he and the prisoners cheered her on. Unexpectedly, Rebecca was very agile. She easily dodged their attacks, and she threw them off the arena without having to attack. This made the audience very displeased. It turned out that from a young age, Rebecca didn't want to hurt others. So, the toy soldier taught Rebecca how to protect herself. Seeing Rebecca defeat the gladiators made Luffy very happy. On Doflamingo's side, he was very pleased, because he had captured Law. Fujitora's powers made it impossible for Law to move. At this moment, Doflamingo told Law a story from 800 years ago. 20 kings from 20 nations formed an organization, and that is the current world government. So, 19 out of 20 kings moved their families to Mary Joieuse, except for the Nefertari family in Arabasta, who did not move. After that, their descendants became the Celestial Dragons, before the Riku family became the ruling family of Dressrosa. The Don Quixote family were the rulers of this kingdom. This surprised Law, because Doflamingo was a celestial dragon. Meanwhile, Nami's group had been captured by Giola. She had turned them into pieces of art. While Brook was complimenting Giola's artwork as beautiful. This made her very pleased. So, Brook tricked her into turning his weapon back to normal. Unexpectedly, Brook immediately defeated Giola. Thanks to this, Nami's group and the Sunny returned to normal. At this moment, Zoro and Kinemon had arrived at the Coliseum. It turned out that Sanji had already decided to go rescue Nami. So, he gave Zoro and Kinemon a map to the Smile Factory. At this moment, Zoro didn't know how to meet Luffy, because they had no way to infiltrate inside. Suddenly, Bartolomeo saw Zoro, which made Bartolomeo very happy, because Zoro was the first mate of the Straw Hat Pirates. Meanwhile, Zoro didn't know who this guy was. Nami's group was safe, so they thanked Brook. When he also wanted to be on Nami's lap, Brook was hit by her. Unexpectedly, Giola woke up, which made them worried, so she used her devil fruit powers and created her own art space, which terrified Nami's group. At this moment, Sanji and Violet were heading to the port to find Nami's group. Violet told Sanji she had another ability called Senrigan, which allowed her to see everything within a 4,000 kilometers radius, but she couldn't find the Sunny, which made Sanji worried. Meanwhile, Nami's group was very anxious, because Giola had transformed into a huge, strange form. So, Nami decided to fight her. Nami created a thundercloud. Unexpectedly, her thundercloud was swallowed by Giola. So, Brook also joined in, but Giola created many arms to block Brook. It turned out they were both just buying time for Chopper to use the Sunny's secret weapon. So, Nami began to activate the cannon, and she fired a powerful shot at Giola. This caused her art space to shatter. So, they blew Giola away. When they thought they had won, unexpectedly, Giola came back again, which surprised Nami, but Momo immediately hit her in the face, and Nami also used lightning to attack Giola. In the end, they finally won. At this moment, Nami's group had restrained Giola. Suddenly, Chopper felt worried about Law, because they didn't understand why he called saying he wanted to give Caesar to them. So, Giola told them Doflamingo had not given up his position as a warlord of the sea, and he had planned to capture all of them, which surprised Nami's group. Meanwhile, in the Coliseum, everyone was very excited, because the D-Block battle was very intense. At this moment, the strong gladiators of Block D continued to appear, and they easily defeated many other gladiators. But everyone was paying attention to Cavendish, because he was so handsome. Suddenly, another handsome person attacked Cavendish, which made him uncomfortable. It turned out that he was a bounty hunter, so he continuously attacked Cavendish. But Cavendish easily blocked his attacks. This made him very angry. Unexpectedly, Cavendish immediately defeated him with great speed, causing the girls to be enchanted by Cavendish. Cavendish saw that everyone was paying attention to him, which made him very happy. Meanwhile, Rebecca was being attacked by other gladiators. Because everyone disliked Rebecca, they wanted to see her defeated. This made Luffy very uncomfortable. So, they cornered Rebecca to the edge of the arena. On Law's side, he was still being restrained by Fujitora, making it impossible for him to move. At this moment, Doflamingo realized he needed to deal with Luffy, because many had underestimated his strength, and all of them were defeated by Luffy. Meanwhile, Caesar wanted to quickly retrieve his heart, but Law said that it was not Caesar's heart, so Doflamingo squeezed the heart. However, Caesar felt no pain. It turned out to be the heart of a marine soldier, which surprised Caesar. When Fujitora was off guard, Law used his devil fruit power, and immediately captured Caesar and ran away. So, Doflamingo chased after Law, and he continuously attacked Law. Doflamingo believed that Law would not be able to escape. At this moment, Nami's group had arrived at Law's location, but they couldn't find Law anywhere. Suddenly, they were attacked by a swarm of fighting fish, which frightened them, because there were so many of these fish. On Law's side, he was still trying to run away from Doflamingo. Suddenly, Nami's group was spotted by Doflamingo, which delighted him, so he changed his target to them. Meanwhile, the Sunny was continuously being attacked by the fighting fish. Suddenly, the fish became scared and ran away. It turned out they sensed danger. Chopper saw Doflamingo approaching, which frightened them. When Doflamingo was about to attack Nami's group, luckily, Sanji appeared just in time, so he kicked Doflamingo, making Nami's group very happy. But Doflamingo blocked Sanji's kick, so Sanji delivered another kick. However, Doflamingo easily dodged it. and he used strings to attack Sanji, causing Sanji to be injured. As he continued to charge at Nami's group, Sanji kept blocking him. Doflamingo realized that Sanji was also very strong. Unexpectedly, Sanji's body became immobilized, which surprised Nami's group. Giola explained that this was Doflamingo's power, which made Sanji unable to move, so Doflamingo used fiery strings to attack Sanji. Fortunately, Law managed to teleport Sanji away, and he brought them back to the Sunny. This frightened Caesar, as he was captured again. But Doflamingo continued to chase them. Now, Law realized they didn't have much time left. Suddenly, Caesar discovered that Law was holding his heart. It turned out that Law had always kept Caesar's heart inside his own body. Suddenly, Law suggested that Nami's group immediately go to Zou Island, and he would stay here with Luffy to destroy the Smile Factory. But Nami didn't want to abandon her captain. Suddenly, the ship was shaken, which surprised them, because a large marine ship was above them. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was about to catch up with them. So, Nami's group was attacked by the Marines. Chopper realized that two large meteors were heading towards them. So, Nami decided to go to Zou Island, because it was too dangerous here. Fortunately, Law had teleported the two meteors to crash into the marine ship. Doflamingo immediately used fiery strings to attack them, but Law blocked his attack. So, Chopper activated the emergency evacuation system, helping the Sunny escape. Zoro had met Bartolomeo, so he wanted to ask Bartolomeo about the arena, which made Bartolomeo very happy, but Zoro and Kinemon found him very strange. So, Bartolomeo told them that Luffy was here. The battle in the arena was very intense. Cavendish noticed that Rebecca's movements were very strange, as she wasn't attacking the other gladiators. Suddenly, Rebecca was driven to the corner of the arena, which made Luffy worried. When they attacked her, unexpectedly, Rebecca fought back, surprising everyone. Nami's group was safe, so they called Usopp to inform him that they would go to Zou Island first, while Usopp's group would stay here to destroy the Smile Factory. It turned out that Law had taken Giola as a hostage, and he was facing Doflamingo alone, which intrigued him. Doflamingo didn't know what Law was planning, so Law told him. His goal was to use the Straw Hat Pirates to destroy the Smile Factory. After that, Kaido would come here to kill Doflamingo, because he couldn't provide Kaido with the Smile Devil Fruit. Doflamingo realized Law was seeking revenge for what happened 13 years ago. Suddenly, Law returned Giola to Doflamingo, so Doflamingo told Giola to run away, because he would duel Law. Thus, Law used his Devil Fruit power. At the same time, the fighting fish jumped up to attack them. Law delivered a deadly slash towards Doflamingo, but Doflamingo blocked his attack. So, Law continued to attack Doflamingo. On Chopper's side, they were worried about Law, but they needed to quickly get Caesar out of there, while Sanji was thinking about Violet, because she had previously helped Sanji find Nami's group. On Bartolomeo's side, he was still very happy, because he got to talk to Zoro Senpai, which made Zoro confused about why Bartolomeo recognized him. So, Zoro asked Bartolomeo to help him meet Luffy, making Bartolomeo even happier. Thus, he ran off to find Luffy, because Bartolomeo thought he was about to become Zoro Senpai's right-hand man. On the D-Block arena side, the battle was very intense. While Rebecca was still being cornered, surprisingly, she continuously threw other gladiators into the water. Despite that, the audience still disliked Rebecca, because her fighting style was too weak, and she didn't kill anyone, which made Rebecca very frustrated, because she always had to endure people's taunts. So, Rebecca remembered her training with the toy soldier. Even though she didn't want to hurt anyone, Rebecca had to be stronger, so she could protect the toy soldier. Thus, Rebecca continued throwing other gladiators onto the arena floor. At this point, Luffy realized Rebecca was using observation haki, which excited Luffy. Meanwhile, Gats saw that Rebecca was fighting beautifully. Suddenly, Logan started paying attention to Rebecca, so he decided to torture her. At this moment, Bartolomeo was very nervous, because he was asked by Zoro. Thus, Bartolomeo thought the other Straw Hat members were also here, making Bartolomeo very eager to meet them. So, he went off to find Luffy. Suddenly, Bartolomeo entered the medical room. He saw many injured gladiators there. Thus, Bartolomeo scolded them as failures, which made these gladiators angry. But, the soldier advised Bartolomeo to leave. So, Bartolomeo decided to continue looking for Luffy. At this moment, Sai was being treated by the medical staff there. Suddenly, the soldier activated a trap, causing Sai to fall down into a basement. He He realized that this place was filled with toys. Surprisingly, Haruden and other gladiators were also there. They realized this place was for the defeated, making Don Chinjao furious, because he realized this was Doflamingo's scheme. On Rebecca's side, she was being targeted by Logan, making him very eager to defeat her. Meanwhile, Luffy was very angry, because everyone hated Rebecca. But, the prisoners here didn't hate her, because when they were injured, Rebecca cared for and tended to them. At this point, Logan started attacking her. Rebecca realized he was very strong, so she tried to escape the corner of the arena. But, he continued to chase Rebecca, causing the audience to be very excited. Suddenly, Rebecca dropped her sword, so he caught up with her. Thus, he grabbed Rebecca. Although she tried to avoid it, Rebecca was caught by him, so he began torturing Rebecca, causing her great pain. Meanwhile, the entire audience was thrilled, because they wanted to see Rebecca crushed. At this moment, Rebecca thought of the toy soldier. When Rebecca was about to give up, suddenly, a female gladiator saved her. It turned out she was Acilia, Rebecca's friend, so they decided to fight together. While Logan was still very angry, and he attacked Acilia, Rebecca saw she was in danger, so Rebecca immediately rushed in. He thought Rebecca was going to attack him. Unexpectedly, Rebecca made him lose his balance and fall into the water, making the audience uncomfortable. Suddenly, the gladiators continued targeting Rebecca, so she continued fighting them. Meanwhile, Luffy was very happy, and he wanted to find a sword like Rebecca's, so Luffy left. At this moment, Bartolomeo didn't know where to find Luffy. Suddenly, he saw Luffy, which made Bartolomeo very happy, while Bartolomeo imagined Luffy would talk to him. But, Luffy wasn't interested in him, so Bartolomeo called out to Luffy. Meanwhile, gladiators were being continuously thrown into the toy trash heap. They didn't know how to escape from this place. Suddenly, one gladiator recognized Ricky. It turned out he was King Riku, the former king of Dressrosa, which surprised everyone, because they didn't expect he was still alive. King Bello saw King Riku, which made him very happy, because they were friends. Suddenly, Sai was captured, which surprised everyone. At this moment, Sai was bound, making him unable to move. Suddenly, someone used a devil fruit ability, and turned Sai into a toy, so he ordered Sai to go to work. Although Sai was still conscious, he couldn't control his body, making Sai confused about what was happening. On Robin and Usopp's side, the leader of the Tontata tribe told them, 900 years ago, the Tontata tribe was enslaved by the Don Quixote family, to turn Dressrosa into a prosperous kingdom. But 800 years ago, they were freed by the Riku family. Even the king knelt down to ask for their forgiveness, and he implemented fair policies towards the Tontata tribe, which moved Frankie and everyone. So, they realized King Riku was a very benevolent king, and the Riku family made the kingdom beautiful. But, now Doflamingo has become the king of Dressrosa, and he has enslaved 500 dwarves. So, they decided to fight to overthrow Doflamingo. Meanwhile, Rebecca was still trying to fight. Robin realized she was the granddaughter of King Riku. Robin didn't understand why everyone hated her, so the toy soldier explained. 10 years ago, King Riku lost the trust of the entire populace, causing them to hate the Riku family, but it was all part of Doflamingo's plan, because he wanted to take over the kingdom. So, now the toy soldier wanted to defeat Doflamingo, to help the Riku family regain the people's trust, which made Usopp curious, not knowing who he was. Meanwhile, the toy soldier deeply regretted the death of Rebecca's mother, so he was determined to always protect her, because he was Rebecca's biological father. At this moment, Bartolomeo told Luffy that Zoro was looking for him, which surprised Luffy. So, Bartolomeo led Luffy to meet Zoro, making Bartolomeo very happy. On Rebecca's side, she had defeated many other gladiators, but everyone disliked her fighting style. Meanwhile, Usopp was very surprised, because the toy soldier was Rebecca's father, so he told them the story from 10 years ago, when King Riku ruled the kingdom. He had made the kingdom very prosperous, even though no wars occurred. But one day, Doflamingo came to the palace, surprising King Riku. He didn't know who Doflamingo was, so Doflamingo told him he was a member of the Don Quixote family, the family that once ruled this kingdom in the past, so he wanted to take back the country. But King Riku saw him as just a pirate. Suddenly, Doflamingo proposed, if he didn't want the country to go to war, he would sell him the country for 10 billion berries, which surprised King Riku, because it was a huge amount of money. But, the deadline for the payment was the next day. So, Doflamingo suggested that King Riku should gather money from the people. At this moment, King Riku discussed this with his subordinates. Although he didn't want to collect money from the people, King Riku wanted to protect the peace of the kingdom. So, King Riku announced to all the people he wanted to borrow money from them. He even knelt down to beg everyone. Unexpectedly, all the people agreed to help King Riku. So, they gathered all their money to give to the king, which moved King Riku deeply. Suddenly, he was attacked by Doflamingo. When King Riku's soldiers gathered enough money and returned, they unexpectedly saw King Riku running toward them and attacking everyone, which surprised everyone. They didn't understand why he was doing this. Meanwhile, King Riku was in great pain. It turned out that Doflamingo was controlling his body, because he wanted to turn him into a tyrant. He even controlled all the soldiers in the kingdom, to force them to slaughter the people. At this moment, King Riku realized it was all part of Doflamingo's plan. It turned out he wanted King Riku to destroy the kingdom. After that, he would become the hero. While everyone was unaware of what happened to King Riku, Viola was in shock, because she didn't understand why her father was like this. Suddenly, she saw Monet entering the palace. It turned out all of Doflamingo's subordinates had gathered here, to prepare to take over the palace. So, Monet captured Viola, while Doflamingo was still controlling King Riku to massacre the people, causing him great suffering, because they were all innocent people. At this point, the people began to hate King Riku. So, they resolutely could not forgive him. Suddenly, 3 of Doflamingo's commanders appeared, and Doflamingo said, "I will save this kingdom." Thus, he immediately defeated King Riku in front of everyone. In the end, all the people saw Doflamingo as their hero. Now, Robin's group understood everything. They were very surprised, because Doflamingo was too ruthless, while Usopp thought King Riku was already dead. But, the toy soldier said that King Riku was still alive. It turned out that Doflamingo was very fond of Princess Viola's powers. So, Viola begged him to spare her father. In exchange, she would become his subordinate. After that, she changed her name to Violet. Even King Riku's soldiers were forced to obey Doflamingo's orders, although they all hated him greatly, which moved Frankie deeply. The toy soldier said that all the toys in the kingdom, they all hated Doflamingo, because he had stolen their lives. So, he wanted all the toys in the kingdom to rise up with them. On King Riku's side, he realized there were many gladiators turned into toys. At this moment, Luffy found Zoro, which made him very happy, but Bartolomeo had gone missing. Suddenly, Bellamy found Luffy, which thrilled him, because previously, Doflamingo had ordered Bellamy to kill Luffy. If he killed him, he would join Doflamingo's crew. But, he remembered that Luffy had once cheered for him, made him start to hesitate. So, Bellamy decided to give up, while Bellamy was very distressed. Suddenly, he encountered Dellinger. So, Dellinger continuously mocked Bellamy, because previously, Doflamingo had ordered that if Bellamy couldn't kill Luffy, they would eliminate Bellamy as well. So, Dellinger attacked Bellamy. On Law's side, he was still fighting Doflamingo, and he controlled debris from the bridge to attack Doflamingo, but Doflamingo easily blocked it. At this moment, Doflamingo realized that Law was very exhausted, so he charged at him. But Law still tried to use his devil fruit powers, and he managed to block Doflamingo's attack. Doflamingo recognized that Law's abilities were troublesome, but he also knew Law's powers had reached their limit, so he counterattacked and continuously shot strings at Law. But Law had no strength left to use his devil fruit powers, which greatly pleased Doflamingo. Suddenly, Diamante called Doflamingo. He said that Violet had betrayed them, but Doflamingo was not worried at all. So, he instructed Diamante to send subordinates to protect the Smile Factory. At this moment, Doflamingo said that Law's plan would not succeed, but he didn't understand why Law trusted Luffy so much. So, Law said, "D will bring a storm to the world," which made Doflamingo angry. So, he attacked Law. On Zoro's side, he was complaining to Luffy about not inviting him to the fight, but they were discovered by the Marines. It turned out that this Marine Vice Admiral had been ambushed in the arena, and they were waiting for the match to end. They planned to arrest all the pirates here. At this moment, Sanji called Zoro's and Usopp's groups. Frankie informed Luffy they were with the Tontata tribe preparing to fight Doflamingo. Suddenly, Frankie said that he couldn't follow Law's plan, which surprised everyone, because previously Law only needed them to destroy the Smile Factory and leave. But Frankie saw the will of the Tontata tribe and the toy soldier, which moved him, so he wanted to fight alongside them to defeat Doflamingo. Luffy thought of Rebecca. Thus, he allowed Frankie to do as he wished, and he would also join them, which made Frankie and everyone very happy. Suddenly, they sensed the town was under attack. Zoro saw something flying towards them. It turned out to be Doflamingo and Law. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo immediately shot Law, which shocked Luffy and everyone. While the citizens are worried, Doflamingo says that Law is spreading false rumors this morning, and he has accused Law of wanting to steal this kingdom, making Luffy very angry. So, Zoro and Kinemon immediately run to rescue Law. When Zoro attacks Doflamingo, unexpectedly, Fujitora stops him. Zoro realizes he is the blind old man they met earlier. Suddenly, Fujitora uses gravity to weigh down Zoro, causing him to feel his body is very heavy, and he creates a pit. Doflamingo then attacks Kinemon, causing Luffy to worry, but this arena is made of sea stone, causing Luffy to lose all his strength. At this moment, Zoro is being crushed under the pit. Unexpectedly, he can still cut Fujitora, surprising him. He realizes Zoro is very strong. At this moment, Zoro and Luffy learn that he is actually a fleet admiral, making Sanji's group and Usopp's group surprised. Because Doflamingo is cooperating with a fleet admiral, suddenly, Doflamingo and Fujitora decide to leave. As Zoro tries to stop Doflamingo, the Marines immediately attack them. So, Zoro and Kinemon had to run away. Zoro tells Luffy to quickly leave the arena. Suddenly, they realize that Sanji's group is also in trouble. It turns out they're being chased by a ship from the Yonko Big Mom, surprising Sanji's group. They don't understand why the Yonko Big Mom is here, making Luffy very worried. At this moment, Peckhams and Tamago have spotted Sanji's group. It turns out their goal is to capture Caesar, causing Sanji to be angry. He doesn't understand why Caesar angered Big Mom, making Caesar nervous. It turns out Caesar stole Big Mom's research investment money. That's why he is being hunted by Big Mom. Suddenly, they start attacking the Sunny ship, causing Nami's group to be worried. So, Sanji flew up to intercept their cannonball. They realize they need to leave quickly. Thus, Nami informs Luffy they have kept Momo and Caesar as the two important cards they are holding, and Law risked his life to help them buy time. So, they need to quickly destroy the Smile Factory. Luffy tells Nami's group to head to Zou Island first, but Sanji tells Luffy to let him first retaliate against Big Mom's crew. So, Luffy tells Sanji, fight freely, making Sanji pleased. While Frankie's group will destroy the Smile Factory, at this moment, Luffy is determined to defeat Doflamingo, to save this kingdom. But, inside the arena, there is someone silently observing everything, while Bellamy is being tortured by Delinger, causing him severe injuries. But, Bellamy still doesn't believe Doflamingo ordered his death, as Bellamy has always been loyal to Doflamingo. So, Bellamy counterattacks Delinger. Unexpectedly, Delinger easily dodges, and he kicks Bellamy, causing him to collapse. So, Delinger continues to torture Bellamy. He realizes he is no match for Delinger. Thus, Bellamy runs away. But, Delinger continues to chase him. When he is about to kill Bellamy, suddenly, Bartolomeo appears, and he creates barriers to block Delinger's attacks, angering Delinger, as he cannot break Bartolomeo's barriers. Suddenly, Diamante calls him with news. He must immediately go to protect the Smile Factory, making Delinger very angry, because he hasn't killed Bellamy yet. So, he keeps kicking Bartolomeo's barriers, but he runs out of time, making him angrily leave. At this moment, Bellamy realizes Doflamingo has truly ordered his death, causing him great anguish, as he has always idolized Doflamingo. So, Bartolomeo comforts Bellamy. The toy soldier has named this operation Dressrosa SOP. He says that the Smile Factory is below the arena, and the slaves are forced to work 24/7, so they will infiltrate through a tunnel they had dug earlier, and their first task is to defeat the one who turns people into toys, to help all of them turn back into humans. It turns out the person with the ability to turn people into toys is named Sugar. As long as she touches someone, she can turn them into toys. And Sugar is very important to Doflamingo, so she is always protected by Trebol. He is one of the 3 top commanders of Doflamingo. Robin realizes that if they make Sugar faint, her ability will disappear, making Usopp and Frankie very excited. They are determined to defeat Sugar. While Luffy is searching for a way out of the arena, he suddenly meets Bartolomeo, making him very excited, as he sees Luffy shining brightly. So, Luffy asks them the way out of the arena. But, Bellamy says there is no exit from the arena. However, he knows a way to escape, because he needs to find Doflamingo to clarify things. Suddenly, Bartolomeo realizes, if Luffy leaves, who will get the Mera Mera fruit? Although he doesn't want the Mera Mera fruit to fall into someone else's hands, Luffy must go rescue his friends. So, Bartolomeo suggests he will help Luffy get the Mera Mera fruit, making Luffy very happy. Suddenly, someone steps up and says, "The Mera Mera fruit cannot be given to you, Luffy," making Bartolomeo angry. So, he tells this person, Luffy is Ace's brother, and he will become the Pirate King, but the person says, "I already know that," making Luffy unsure of who he is. Suddenly, he takes off his hat and says, "It's been a long time, Luffy," surprising Luffy and making him emotional, because Luffy realizes he is Sabo. At this moment, Luffy has left the arena, but he is crying continuously, causing Zoro to not understand what is happening. Luffy says that the Mera Mera fruit is in the hands of someone deserving, so he will focus on rescuing Law and defeating Doflamingo. At this moment, Sabo is crying and calling Koala. She says that even if Sabo had appeared in the battle 2 years ago, he couldn't have changed anything, so Sabo is determined to obtain Ace's Mera Mera fruit, to inherit Ace's will. At this moment, Zoro asks Luffy who this person is. Luffy says, "He is my brother," surprising Zoro, as Luffy has another brother besides Ace. It turns out that the three of them have always been together since childhood, and they drank a brotherhood toast together. On Frankie's side, the toy soldier and the dwarf tribe are ready for battle, and their goal is to defeat Sugar, so they immediately set out. But Usopp realizes the tunnel is too small, thus, his group cannot enter inside. But the toy soldier tells them that Frankie's group can infiltrate directly into the Smile Factory through the main entrance, because every night all the toys in the kingdom must return there to work. Usopp realizes the toys are also being forced into hard labor, making Frankie feel that this place is terrifying. When the toy soldier tells Frankie there are 4 entrances to the Smile Factory, Frankie becomes excited, because he can fight freely through the main entrance, and they will surround Sugar. Then, Frankie's group begins to act, so Frankie directly runs to the toy house's front door. The soldiers recognize he is Frankie of the Straw Hat Pirates. But this place is guarded by Senor Pink. He is one of Diamante's sub-commanders. Seeing Frankie makes him very excited, but Frankie feels he is a pervert, so he decides to destroy the entire place. Frankie attacks them with a powerful blow. Doflamingo realizes Luffy's crew has begun their action, while Usopp and Robin are with the dwarf tribe. The toy soldier warns Frankie that under Diamante, there are 4 powerful commanders, and they are all gladiators with a 100% win rate in the arena, surprising Usopp. While Frankie is still fighting them, suddenly Senor Pink appears in front of him, but Frankie immediately punches him away. Unexpectedly, Senor Pink is still unharmed, and he continues to face Frankie. Suddenly, he sinks into the ground again, making Frankie confused about his ability. At this moment, Leo tells Usopp that under Doflamingo, there are 3 top commanders. First is Trebol, who has 3 sub-commanders under him. Next is Diamante, who has 4 sub-commanders under him. And finally, Pica, who also has 4 sub-commanders under him. Leo says they are all very strong, making Usopp worried. On Rebecca's side, she is fighting a very strong gladiator, making Rebecca struggle, because his swordsmanship is very good. Finally, Usopp's group arrives, surprising Usopp, as the place is very vast. Suddenly, they see the toys being forced into hard labor here, shocking Usopp. At this moment, Suleiman continues to attack Rebecca, making everyone excited, as he is overwhelming Rebecca. But Rebecca doesn't give up, because she wants to continue living with the toy soldier. At this moment, only the strong remain in the arena, causing the audience to be very excited, as they are all finalists. While Suleiman decides to defeat Rebecca, he knocks her sword away. When Rebecca is in danger, suddenly, Acilia helps Rebecca block his attack, causing her to be injured. Everyone doesn't understand why Acilia is protecting Rebecca, but Acilia is immediately defeated by Suleiman, making Rebecca very worried. However, Acilia still wants Rebecca to make it to the finals, so Rebecca quickly regains her spirit, making Suleiman uncomfortable, and he continues to attack Rebecca. At this moment, Wicca leads Luffy's group to the palace, while the dwarves are preparing to execute their plan, making Usopp worried, as he has become the commander of this operation. So, Leo shows Usopp the location of Sugar. Suddenly, they are discovered by 2 guards, making Usopp nervous. Unexpectedly, they are immediately robbed by Leo's group, and Leo defeats them. surprising Usopp and Robin, as the dwarf tribe is very strong. Thus, Leo gives Usopp and Robin the guards' gear, so they can disguise themselves and approach Sugar. At this moment, they begin their action, while the toy soldier starts attacking the guards. Unexpectedly, he is very strong, and he easily defeats them. At this moment, he recalls training Rebecca. Every day he tried to teach her, making Rebecca very exhausted, because she didn't want to learn to fight, and she wanted the toy soldier to protect her, but, he said, I am just a toy, so, my body will rust, because he knew his body had limits. He wanted Rebecca to learn to protect herself. At this moment, the soldiers don't understand why the toy soldier is so strong, while he is very determined, because he must reclaim this country for King Riku. At this moment, all the spectators in the arena are very surprised. They don't understand what happened, as all the gladiators were defeated in an instant. They don't know who the winner of this match is. Suddenly, the announcer sees someone standing up, exciting everyone, making everyone curious about who will win. Unexpectedly, the winner is Rebecca, shocking everyone, as all the other gladiators were defeated. They don't know what Rebecca did. Finally, Rebecca becomes the victor. At this moment, Bastille remembers. There is a legend in the Rommel kingdom about a wind. At midnight, he would go around killing others, and his name is Hakuba. However, no one has ever captured him. At this moment, Rebecca looks at Cavendish, and she recalls, when Suleiman was about to kill Rebecca, suddenly, Cavendish fell onto him, and he fell asleep, surprising everyone. The other gladiators see this as an opportunity to defeat Cavendish, so, they attack him. Unexpectedly, Cavendish immediately transformed, and quickly defeated everyone in the arena with extreme speed. Fortunately, Rebecca avoided that attack, so, Cavendish reverted to normal and continued sleeping, allowing Rebecca to win. At this moment, Bastille informs everyone. Hakuba is Cavendish's other personality when he sleeps. At this moment, the audience doesn't understand what Rebecca did, but Sabo realizes that Rebecca's victory wasn't just luck, as she avoided Hakuba's attacks, while Burgess is very excited, because the finals are about to begin. On Frankie's side, he is still fighting Senor Pink. But, Senor Pink avoids all of Frankie's attacks, and he punches Frankie back, making both of them very excited. On Doflamingo's side, he is very pleased, because he has captured King Riku. He didn't expect King Riku to participate in the arena fight, and he also realizes that Viola is very smart, because she has always been planning to get revenge on him, but, he thinks she is still too naive, because she believes that Law and Luffy will be able to defeat him, while Doflamingo thinks everything is still going according to his plan. He even knows that Robin's group has infiltrated the Smile Factory. At this moment, Luffy's group is still running to the palace, and they see an elevator leading up, but, there are many guards. Suddenly, a girl blocks their way. It turns out she is Viola, and she says she will help them get into the palace, surprising Luffy's group. On the arena side, Rebecca has won, but, she sees many injured gladiators. Suddenly, Rebecca meets Lucy, making her very happy. However, Rebecca realizes that he is not the Lucy she knows. Suddenly, Sabo says to Rebecca, I know everything about you. And Sabo sees this kingdom like the place where the three siblings once lived. At this moment, Viola says that if they use the elevator, they will be detected. Kinemon recalls she is the one who gave the map to Sanji, when they don't understand why she betrayed Doflamingo. Wicca explains that Viola was only pretending to be his subordinate. On Frankie's side, he is still trying to destroy the place, and he fires missiles at them, causing them to be frightened. But, Senor Pink remains calmly brushing his teeth, so, he gets hit by Frankie's missile, making the soldiers wonder why he didn't use his powers. But, Senor Pink says, I only swim when I feel like it, making the girls even more fascinated by Senor Pink. Suddenly, a large, fat man attacks Frankie. Unexpectedly, his attack is very strong, surprising Frankie. It turns out his name is Macvis. Suddenly, the Marines also surround the area, so, they attack him. Frankie realizes he will have to fight the Marines as well. On Doflamingo's side, he realizes Fujitora has joined the fray. Fujitora says he will not side with Doflamingo, surprising Doflamingo. He doesn't know what Fujitora wants. So, Fujitora says, I will completely eliminate the 7 warlords system, surprising Doflamingo, because the 7 warlords, Marines and Yonko are the 3 forces that balance the world, and he doesn't want Doflamingo to continue his criminal activities, making Doflamingo angry. So, he attacks Fujitora, but they are still cooperating. Thus, Fujitora will help him protect this country. Finally, he leaves. At this moment, Luffy is very surprised. Because Viola is a princess. It turns out Rebecca is her niece, so she opens a secret door, helping them infiltrate the castle. It turns out this is the Riku family's escape route. Even Doflamingo doesn't know about this place. On the arena side, the final match is about to begin, making everyone very excited. The stage is being set up, while Sabo is very excited. He is determined to get the Mera Mera fruit. At this moment, Sabo steps onto the stage, causing the audience to be very excited, because they all think he is Lucy. Next is Bartolomeo. But the audience dislikes him. Then comes Burgess. He is determined to get the Mera Mera fruit and defeat Luffy. At this moment, Rebecca also enters the arena, while she is still very curious about Lucy, because she doesn't know who he is. So, all 4 gladiators are gathered. Suddenly, Diamante appears, making all the audience very excited, because he is the boss of this arena. It turns out Diamante will also participate in the final match, and the winner will get the Mera Mera fruit. Suddenly, a group of gladiators from Block D runs up, because they don't recognize Rebecca as the winner. They want to challenge her, but Diamante steps in to stop them, and he turns his cloak into a shield. It turns out he has eaten the Ripple fruit, allowing him to control and harden any object. So, Diamante defeats these gladiators. Suddenly, a fighting fish jumps up to attack them. At this moment, Diamante says, these fighting fish are different from those in the first round, because they are very bloodthirsty, and one of them is holding the Mera Mera fruit. In this final, whoever lasts until the end, and grabs the Mera Mera fruit, will be the winner. So, the final match officially begins. Suddenly, Burgess immediately charges at Sabo, but he easily dodges. They notice Sabo running around the arena, making them confused about what Sabo is trying to do. It turns out he is luring the fighting fish to attack him, so he can find the fish holding the Mera Mera fruit. At this moment, the fighting fish also attack everyone, making the fight seem very interesting. Meanwhile, Luffy's group has infiltrated the palace, making Luffy surprised, because they need to get past this large gate. It turns out Doflamingo is above the palace, so they need to climb up there. When Viola was about to lead them to find another way inside, unexpectedly, Luffy ran directly towards the gate, and he used Gear 3 to break the gate, surprising everyone, because Luffy was too reckless, so they all went straight into the palace. The guards reported to Doflamingo that Straw Hat Luffy had infiltrated the palace, surprising Doflamingo, because he was still watching Lucy's match, while Luffy and Zoro were continuously attacking inside the palace, making Doflamingo extremely angry, because he didn't understand, if the intruder in the palace was Luffy, then who was fighting in the arena? Now, Luffy had infiltrated the palace to find Doflamingo, so, Luffy's group continuously took down many guards together. They quickly defeated them. Kinemon said that he needed to go find Conqueror, so, he would go with Wicca to the toys house. Then, Kinemon left. Viola continued to lead Luffy and Zoro to find Doflamingo. Suddenly, the entire palace shook. This made Luffy confused about what was happening. A giant stone man suddenly appeared in front of them, surprising Luffy and Zoro. Viola recognized him as Pica. It turned out he had eaten the stone fruit, allowing his body to merge with and control stone. He immediately attacked Luffy's group, but they all dodged it. This annoyed Luffy, so he used Gear 2 to attack Pica, and he punched Pica into many pieces. Luffy thought everything was over. Suddenly, Pica reappeared instantly. Viola said that he was one of Doflamingo's top 3 commanders, so he wouldn't be easily defeated. He could even control the entire palace made of stone. So, Pica began pulling 2 walls together to trap Luffy's group. Meanwhile, Franky was still being attacked by the Marines, which annoyed Senor Pink, because the Marines dared to attack their base, but since Doflamingo and Fujitora were working together, they had to team up to capture the Straw Hat crew. This excited Franky, so he attacked the Marines. While Senor Pink sensed that Franky was a brave man, suddenly, the Marines used flamethrowers to attack Franky, setting his body on fire. They thought they were about to capture Franky, but Franky was just pretending, because the fire couldn't harm him, so he continued to taunt the Marines to attack him. Meanwhile, Usopp and Robin had infiltrated the Smile Factory, while Cavendish didn't know where he was, because earlier, the arena soldiers activated a trap, causing Cavendish to fall into the toy scrapyard, and he was immediately captured and brought there. This annoyed Cavendish because he was surrounded by mucus. Suddenly, Trable and Sugar appeared, surprising Cavendish. While he didn't understand what was happening, suddenly, sugar touched Cavendish and turned him into a toy, surprising him, because he couldn't control his body. They then ordered Cavendish to work. At this point, Cavendish went to the Smile Factory, making Cavendish worried. He didn't understand what was happening to him, while the other gladiators were also being enslaved there. Although they were conscious, they couldn't control their bodies. At this moment, Robin and Usopp found Sugar's room. Leo told them both that Sugar really liked to eat grapes, so Leo had prepared the spiciest fruit in the world and made it look like a grape. He believed that as long as Sugar ate it, she would pass out. Then, all the toys in the kingdom would turn back to normal, and Doflamingo's true face would be exposed to everyone. Meanwhile, Usopp was worried, because he realized Trebol was very strong. Suddenly, Trebol saw a fly, which annoyed him. So, Trebol immediately attacked the fly, surprising Usopp and Robin, because he shot down a fly without even looking at it. But, Leo was still very confident in his plan, so, he quickly ran towards Sugar at high speed. Everyone thought Leo would succeed. Suddenly, Robin caught Leo. Meanwhile, in the arena, a fighting fish charged at Burgess. But, Burgess easily knocked the fighting fish into the stands, causing a shockwave throughout the arena, surprising everyone, because this was the strength of one of Blackbeard's commanders. Suddenly, Fighting Fish No. 1, holding the Mera Mera fruit, appeared, so everyone focused their attention on it. Unexpectedly, all the fighting fish surrounded the arena, and they jumped up to attack the gladiators, but the gladiators were not worried and counterattacked the fighting fish. Suddenly, Fighting Fish No. 1 targeted Rebecca, and it immediately attacked her. But Rebecca wasn't strong enough to stop it. Suddenly, Sabo instantly grabbed the fighting fish. So, Diamante tried to stop him. Unexpectedly, Sabo easily broke Diamante's sword. Burgess also tried to stop Sabo, determined not to let anyone get the Mera Mera fruit. But Sabo decided to face him head-on, so he used the Dragon Claw Fist technique. And Sabo attacked Burgess, causing the entire arena to shake. Unexpectedly, Sabo shattered Burgess's arm guard, making everyone excited, because Lucy was so strong. Meanwhile, Rebecca felt they were on a different level, but she couldn't give up, so Rebecca decided to confront Diamante, and she charged at him. Meanwhile, the toy soldier had defeated Doflamingo's subordinates. Suddenly, he was attacked by an old man. It turned out that he was Lao Ji, a subordinate under Diamante, making everyone worried, because Lao Ji was very strong, but the toy soldier didn't give up. He was determined to press forward. Meanwhile, Luffy's group was being crushed by Pica, but Zoro and Luffy quickly broke free. So, Luffy continued to attack Pica. However, Luffy and Zoro's attacks had no effect, because they couldn't hit Pica's real body. Meanwhile, Wicca was worried, because they needed to take the elevator down to the Smile Factory, but there were many guards there. Suddenly, Kinemon came up with an idea. So, he used his devil fruit power and transformed into Doflamingo, surprising Wicca. Meanwhile, Frankie had defeated many marine soldiers. So, Bastille decided to fight Frankie. Unexpectedly, Bastille immediately punched Frankie into a wall, but Frankie was unharmed, surprising the marines, because Frankie's body was extremely tough. So, Frankie attacked them with a powerful blow. Meanwhile, Luffy and Zoro were still being blocked by Pica, and he created an entire wall to stop Luffy. Suddenly, Zoro slashed through Pica's wall. He then told Luffy and Viola to continue searching for Doflamingo, and he decided to stay and fight Pica. So, Luffy and Viola left. Pica tried to block Luffy again, but Zoro quickly cut off his stone arm, allowing Luffy to get away. At this moment, Pica continuously attacked Zoro, but Zoro blocked all of his attacks. Suddenly, Pica disappeared. So, Zoro used observation haki to find his location. Unexpectedly, Pica appeared behind him, but Zoro split him in half with just one strike. Unexpectedly, Pica continued to reappear. Meanwhile, the toy soldier was still fighting Lao Ji, but Lao Ji was too strong. The toy soldier was no match for him. So, Lao Ji kicked the toy soldier into a wall, making the dwarves very worried. Inside the Smile Factory, the dwarves were being enslaved. They had to work very hard, and were being tortured by Doflamingo's subordinates. Suddenly, one of the soldiers scolded them, because they had harvested unripe smile fruits. It turned out that they were using the princess of the dwarf tribe to threaten them. So, the dwarves had to work for them. Meanwhile, Robin was stopping Leo, because she realized that Trebol could easily shoot down a fly. Thus, She thought his observational skills were very sharp, and he wouldn't let anyone get close to Sugar, so they started making a plan. The dwarf squad quickly infiltrated the cargo ship to distract the enemy. At this moment, Robin ran to inform Treble to trick him into leaving Sugar. So, Treble locked the room and went with Robin to the cargo ship. Meanwhile, Usopp and Leo were still watching Sugar. At this moment, Leo's group made their move. Very quickly, he placed the fake grape into Sugar's grape basket. Usopp thought their plan had succeeded. Unexpectedly, Sugar threw their grape away, making Leo worried. But Leo still didn't give up. Suddenly, Leo's group confronted Sugar directly, and they immediately attacked her. But they were all turned into toys by Sugar, surprising Usopp. So, Sugar ordered these toys to attack their friends. Then, Sugar informed Treble that it was just a trap, surprising him. So, Robin immediately ran away. But Treble quickly chased after and caught her. However, it turned out to be just a clone of Robin. At that moment, Treble realized she was a member of the Straw Hat crew, making him very angry. So, he grabbed a giant ship, and Treble threw it into his room, shocking Usopp and Leo's group. Meanwhile, Sugar and the guards were worried, because Treble was losing control. Meanwhile, Luffy was still being blocked by Pica. Viola told Luffy that Pica could control the stones of the entire palace, and she was worried about Zoro. But, Luffy said that Zoro would be fine. Meanwhile, Zoro was still trying to locate Pica. At this moment, Rebecca charged at Diamante, but his body was too tough, so Rebecca couldn't hurt him. Suddenly, Diamante pulled out a mace and knocked Rebecca to the ground, injuring her. Sabo realized that Rebecca was in danger, so he told Bartolomeo to protect Rebecca. Suddenly, Diamante asked her, "Do you know how your mother died?" Surprising Rebecca. Meanwhile, Leo's group had been captured by Treble, making them unable to move. At this moment, Robin and Usopp didn't know how to save them, but Leo still declared that they would win, and that they would definitely save their friends. Suddenly, Treble told Leo that his mucus would explode, surprising them. Then, he threw a lighter at them, creating a massive explosion, worrying Usopp and Robin. So, they immediately went to find Leo and the others. Usopp and Robin saw that they were all seriously injured. Thus, Usopp told Leo to run away, but Leo still didn't give up, because they needed to complete the mission given to them by the toy soldier. Meanwhile, the toy soldier had been defeated by Lao Ji. So, the dwarf tribe tried to carry the toy soldier away, because they believed only the toy soldier could defeat Doflamingo. Usopp didn't understand why Leo's group had so much faith in the toy soldier. So, Leo explained to Usopp that the toy soldier was the only one who escaped Sugar's control, and that he was actually Kyros, the hero of the arena. At this moment, Zoro was still facing off against Pica. But, no matter how many times he slashed Pica, Pica remained unharmed, leaving Zoro unsure of what to do. Meanwhile, the toy soldier had defeated the guards. Suddenly, he saw someone approaching. It turned out to be Gladius, a commander under Pica. So, two dwarves decided to hold him off to help the toy soldier. But they were quickly captured. Gladius then inflated his arms, creating two powerful explosions that defeated them, making the toy soldier angry. But, he ran past Gladius, because he couldn't let them sacrifice themselves in vain. Unexpectedly, Gladius chased after and captured him. It turned out that Gladius had eaten the pop-pop fruit, allowing him to make anything he touches explode. So, he inflated the toy soldier's head, causing him to worry, because he needed to stay alive to protect Rebecca. Fortunately, Luffy arrived just in time and kicked Gladius, saving the toy soldier. Viola saw that Gladius was angry, so she pulled Luffy away, knowing that Gladius was very strong. At this moment, Viola thanked the toy soldier for always being there and protecting Rebecca. Meanwhile, Gladius realized that Viola had betrayed Doflamingo, making him very angry. So, he inflated his head, creating a large explosion that injured Viola. So, Luffy grabbed her and continued to run. Luffy realized they were moving too slowly. Thus, he broke a window and jumped to the upper floor. Meanwhile, Gladius didn't know where Luffy had gone. Suddenly, he encountered Kinemon disguised as Doflamingo. Unexpectedly, he believed that this was the real Doflamingo. So, Kinemon told him to lead him to Conqueror. At this moment, Luffy and Viola saw the real Doflamingo. He was interrogating Law about their plan. But, Law still refused to answer any of Doflamingo's questions. Suddenly, the toy soldier saw King Riku also present. So, he decided he had to save King Riku at all costs. However, He needed to wait for Leo's group to complete their mission, to help him revert to human form, so he could defeat Doflamingo. Meanwhile, Trable was very pleased, because he had defeated Leo's entire group. At this moment, Leo was still determined to complete his mission, so he and the others tried to stand up, surprising Usopp. They continued to confront Sugar and attack her, but Trable immediately stopped them. He continuously used his mucus to attack Leo's group, while Sugar controlled the toys to block them. Usopp saw them attacking his friends, causing him great distress. Suddenly, Robin decided to help them, and she used her devil fruit powers to capture Trable and Sugar. Robin then instructed Leo to put the grape into Sugar's mouth, so he jumped up. Everyone thought they would succeed, but Sugar touched Robin and turned her into a toy. Then, Trable struck Leo, knocking him to the ground. This made Usopp worried. Suddenly, Trable lifted a large rock and threw it at Leo. At this moment, they had completely defeated Leo's group, making Trable very pleased. Meanwhile, Robin had been turned into a toy, and she didn't know where Usopp was, because only he could help Robin revert to human form. On Frankie's side, he was fighting against Dellinger and the Marines. He realized he couldn't fall, because he needed to hold the Marines and Doflamingo's subordinates here. Otherwise, the dwarf tribe's plan would fail. At this moment, Viola realized that Leo's group had been defeated by Trable, leaving only Usopp there, causing Viola to worry, but Luffy had faith that Usopp would handle everything. Meanwhile, Usopp realized the situation was dire, so he decided to escape. At this moment, the dwarf tribe kept calling out Usolin's name, leaving Trable and Sugar unsure of who Usolin was. While Leo still trusted Usopp, he shouted Usolin's name loudly, so that everyone and all the toys could hear it. But Usopp continued to run away. At this moment, Leo told Trable, "Usolin is our hero, and he will save all the toys in this kingdom," making everyone hear Leo's words through the transponder snail. But Trable mocked them. He asked, "Where's your hero now?" And he told them that they had been deceived by Usopp, which made them very disappointed. Meanwhile, Usopp was still looking for a way to escape. Unexpectedly, Leo still believed in Usopp because he believed that Usolin was not a liar. Usopp inadvertently heard all of Leo's words, causing him to stop, while Trable was delighting in trampling on the dwarves, which pleased him greatly. At this moment, Usopp heard the screams of the dwarves, making him very distressed and run away. Unexpectedly, Usopp immediately turned back, surprising Trable and Sugar. Meanwhile, Leo's group was very happy. Usopp then told them that all his earlier statements were lies, leaving them surprised. But Usopp declared, "I am the Sniper King, Usopp, a member of the Straw Hat Pirates." This surprised all the toys present. At this moment, the dwarf tribe was in great anguish, because they had been deceived. But Usopp said, "I will fight, because I will become your hero," which astonished everyone. So, Usopp attacked Trable, unexpectedly, managing to cut his body, making Leo's group very happy. At this point, Usopp just needed to defeat Sugar, and they would win, but Trable immediately recovered, surprising everyone. Then, Trable attacked Usopp, causing Usopp to be terrified. Meanwhile, Luffy's group was still watching Doflamingo, while the toy soldier was aiming to rescue King Riku. He remembered his past. It turned out Kyros was once a thug in the slums, but he was very strong, so the soldiers could do nothing to Kyros. Suddenly, King Riku came before Kyros, so Kyros attacked him. But King Riku did not resist. He realized Kyros had killed to avenge his friend, so King Riku told Kyros to follow him. He brought Kyros to the arena, to show his strength to everyone. Unexpectedly, Kyros easily defeated the other gladiators. However, Kyros thought King Riku was imprisoning him here, which made him very angry. Suddenly, King Riku asked, "Do you want to become a gladiator?" It turned out that if Kyros won 100 matches in the arena, he would be granted freedom. At that time, all the spectators hated Kyros, because he was a murderer. However, Kyros continuously won, surprising everyone. In just 4 months, Kyros won 100 matches, but people still disliked him, which made him uncomfortable, so he requested King Riku to let him stay in the arena. Afterward, Kyros continued fighting, and he won 300 matches, making everyone very excited. After 4 years, Kyros was winning his 1000th match, earning admiration from everyone. However, his past of killing still haunted him, leading him to always think of himself as just a murderer. King Riku witnessed everything. Kyros was fighting a very strong gladiator, but he quickly won. Kyros reached his 3000th victory. However, Kyros realized this gladiator was actually King Riku. It turned out that King Riku had come here to help Kyros realize that he was not a cold-blooded killer. King Riku then asked Kyros to work for him, so that he could help more people. Then, Kyros became the commander of the army, and everyone loved him. However, King Riku's daughter did not like Kyros. She was Princess Scarlet. Although she continually pushed Kyros away, his mission was to protect her. One day, Scarlet was kidnapped by pirates, causing her great worry. They wanted to sell her. Suddenly, Kyros appeared and rescued her. He immediately defeated the pirates, even destroying their ship. Scarlet was very exhausted, but Kyros did not dare to touch her, because he had never touched a girl before. From that day on, Scarlet began to like Kyros, and she stayed close to him, making him feel embarrassed. At this moment, King Riku realized that Kyros loved Scarlet, but he was worried because Kyros had once been a criminal, so people would not support them. Unexpectedly, Scarlet was also determined to stay with Kyros. Thus, King Riku faked Scarlet's death to all the people, so they could be together. Then, Kyros and Scarlet were in a field of flowers, and they had a daughter named Rebecca, making everyone very happy. But Kyros didn't dare to touch his daughter, because he thought he had too many sins. However, Kyros was determined to always protect Rebecca, and they lived together very happily. But one day, the kingdom was attacked by Doflamingo, which made Kyros very worried, so he decided to go rescue King Riku. When he arrived, Kyros saw that the whole town was burning, but when Kyros reached the palace, he saw Doflamingo's subordinates. It turned out they had taken over the entire palace. Viola said that King Riku was still safe, so they began to lead Kyros to meet Doflamingo. Unexpectedly, as soon as he entered, Kyros was captured, and they bound his legs with chains. It turned out it was all part of Doflamingo's plan, but no matter how hard Kyros tried to cut the chains, he still couldn't cut them. At this moment, Doflamingo offered Kyros a job working for him. As he was about to kill King Riku, suddenly, Kyros cut off his own leg, and he rushed at Doflamingo. Unexpectedly, Kyros was immediately turned into a toy by Sugar, which surprised Kyros, but in the end, Kyros managed to rescue King Riku. At this moment, he realized that King Riku didn't remember who he was. Then, he went to rescue his wife and child, but they still didn't remember Kyros. Unexpectedly, Kyros witnessed Diamante killing his wife, which made him very sorrowful, but he couldn't do anything about it because he was turned into a toy. At this time, Kyros was still waiting for Leo's group to complete their mission. On the arena side, Sabo was fighting fiercely with Burgess, but he couldn't land a hit on Sabo, while Diamante was telling Rebecca that he was the one who killed her mother, which made Rebecca very distressed. On Frankie's side, he had been defeated by the Marines. It turned out he was trying to hold on until Usopp arrived. At this moment, Usopp was continuously attacking Trebol, while all the gladiators hoped Usopp would win. Unexpectedly, Trebol captured Usopp. Leo's group saw Usopp being defeated, which made them very worried. Suddenly, Sugar decided to make Usopp eat Leo's grape, and she put it into Usopp's mouth. Unexpectedly, the grape was very spicy, causing Usopp to wake up with a terrifying expression. He even breathed fire, which scared Sugar. Unexpectedly, she fainted, leaving Trebol shocked. Suddenly, all the toys in the kingdom began to transform, and they all turned back into humans, which made them very happy, while Trebol was worried, because Doflamingo's secret was exposed. At this moment, the Marines saw all the toys in the kingdom turn into humans, which surprised them, while Doflamingo heard that Sugar was unconscious, which shocked him, because all the slaves they had collected over the past 10 years had all turned back into humans. Doflamingo saw that his 10-year plan had failed, which made him very angry, while everyone in the kingdom had regained their memories, and they recognized their loved ones. At this moment, Leo's group was very happy, because Usopp had won, and he had become their hero. On the city side, everyone was very angry, because for so long, Doflamingo's subordinates had tormented them, so they were determined to take revenge on Doflamingo. At this moment, Fujitora realized that the dark secrets of this kingdom had been exposed, while Doflamingo was very angry, because the whole kingdom was in revolt. Suddenly, Viola, Rebecca, and King Riku remembered who Kyros was, which made them cry. Suddenly, Kyros immediately rushed towards Doflamingo, while Viola was very happy, and she told Luffy that Kyros was the strongest hero of the arena, and he was Rebecca's father, so Kyros rushed to attack Doflamingo, which surprised everyone, because they thought Kyros had killed Doflamingo, which made Doflamingo's subordinates very angry. On the arena side, everyone was shocked, because all the toys had turned into humans. Diamante realized that their scheme had been exposed, while Rebecca was crying, because she remembered she had a father. At this moment, Sabo said this was the dark side of the kingdom, and he had found the focal point of the arena, which made Bartolomeo confused about what he was doing. Suddenly, Sabo used Haki and punched the arena floor, causing the entire arena to collapse. Everyone was shocked by Sabo's power. At this moment, Burgess and Diamante could not move freely. Sabo said, "I am the winner," while the water inside the arena was being sucked down below. Suddenly, the fighting fish holding the Mara fruit appeared. So, Sabo immediately jumped to try to catch it. Diamante tried to stop him, but he was thrown into the water. So, Sabo managed to jump onto the back of the fighting fish. In the end, he got the Mara fruit, which surprised everyone, because he had become the winner. So, Sabo began eating the devil fruit, but he found its taste very bad. Suddenly, Rebecca fell into the water. So, Sabo caught her and jumped up high. At this moment, Sabo removed his disguise, which surprised Diamante and Burgess, because he is not Luffy the Straw Hat. So, Sabo began using his devil fruit powers and creating fire, which made him very happy, because he was holding Ace's power. So, Sabo used the fire fist technique, and created a huge fire on the arena floor, which amazed everyone. On Treble's side, he was very angry, so, he was determined not to let anyone escape. Leo's group carried Usopp away, while Robin was holding back Treble. Suddenly, Haruden helped her, and he grabbed Usopp. At this moment, Haruden lifted Usopp and said to everyone, "He is our hero," which made everyone very excited. While Usopp was in great pain, suddenly, the ceiling collapsed, shining a light down on Usopp. So, everyone thought Usopp was a god, which made everyone very happy, and they worshipped him as God Usopp. At this moment, they asked Usopp to give orders to them, which surprised Usopp. So, he told everyone to go rescue the people of the tiny tribe, which excited everyone. On Sabo's side, he had destroyed the entire arena, which made Rebecca curious. She didn't know who he was. Suddenly, Koala arrived. She said it was time for them to regroup with Hack. While Treble was angry, he was determined not to let them destroy the Smile Factory. Meanwhile, Diamante was also furious, because he had lost the Mara fruit. At this moment, Sabo and Koala found Hack. So, Sabo began to change his outfit, but he still hadn't fully controlled his new powers. At this moment, Rebecca asked, "Who are you?" "I am Sabo." It turned out Sabo was the chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army, which surprised Rebecca, and she wondered who Lucy was. So, Sabo said, "He is Luffy the Straw Hat, the future Pirate King. And he is my brother." At this moment, Sabo remembered the three brothers' past, and how they had shared a drink to become sworn brothers. Rebecca didn't understand why the Revolutionary Army was here. So, Hack smashed a Doflamingo cargo crate, revealing that he had been smuggling weapons and causing wars everywhere. So, the Revolutionary Army came here to stop him. Inside the city, there was great chaos, because everyone wanted to take revenge on Doflamingo. At this moment, Kinemon infiltrated the toy house, but he was surrounded by gladiators because they thought he was Doflamingo. Fortunately, he managed to escape to the roof, so Kinemon got away from them. At this moment, Wicca realized that Leo's group had completed their mission, which made her very happy. So, Kinemon also returned to his original form, and he continued to search for Conqueror. Meanwhile, Robin met Koala, which made her very happy. It turned out Robin was also acquainted with Sabo and Hack. Bartolomeo felt very happy, because he had met Robin. Suddenly, he saw Usopp, and Bartolomeo recognized Usopp as Sogeking, which made him very happy. On Kyros' side, he was fighting Doflamingo's subordinates. Unexpectedly, Kyros was very strong, and he easily overwhelmed Baby 5. Suddenly, Luffy was running to rescue Law, which surprised Law. As Luffy was about to unlock Law's restraints, suddenly, they heard Doflamingo's laughter. Pica appeared and attacked them, which surprised Luffy, because Doflamingo was still alive. He realized his plan had failed, which made him very angry, and he said, "It's time for me to use the birdcage," which worried Law. At this moment, the gladiators in the arena wanted to destroy the Smile Factory, but Diamante and Treble were guarding it. So, the gladiators couldn't get past them, because they were very strong. Soon, Diamante and Treble defeated the gladiators. Kyros realized Doflamingo was still alive. so he continued to attack him. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo appeared behind Kyros, and with a single kick, he split the top of the palace. Fortunately, Luffy managed to save Kyros in time. At this moment, both Doflamingos attacked Luffy together, but Luffy dodged, so he charged at them to attack. However, Doflamingo used armament haki and blocked Luffy's attack, so Luffy was hit from behind and got injured. Doflamingo continued to punch Luffy into the wall. At this moment, everyone realized it was Doflamingo's clone, and he told King Riku that he was the one who had controlled him to slaughter the people 10 years ago. Suddenly, Doflamingo ordered Pica to throw them out, so Pica created 2 stone arms and threw Luffy's group out of the palace. Fortunately, Luffy managed to expand his body to catch them. At this moment, Doflamingo began to act, and he released the strings from his puppet. Law realized that Doflamingo wanted to create the birdcage, so Doflamingo's strings enveloped the entire Dressrosa island, which worried everyone, because these strings were very sharp, and could cut through anything. Law told Luffy that Doflamingo intended to kill everyone. Suddenly, he shot strings at everyone, but Fujitora caught his strings. At this moment, he saw people attacking each other, making the whole kingdom very chaotic. It turned out Doflamingo was controlling them. Suddenly, the entire palace shook. Law realized Pica was changing the structure of the palace, and he had lifted Doflamingo to the highest position. At this moment, Doflamingo announced to everyone that he would create a killing game. Whoever kills the people on his list, Doflamingo would let whoever kills the people on his list survive, which made Luffy very upset. Meanwhile, everyone was trying to escape from the birdcage, but it was too tough. Doflamingo saw the entire kingdom in chaos, which made him very pleased. Even the marines were being controlled by Doflamingo, so Fujitora used gravity to pin them to the ground. On Bartolomeo's side, he was very happy, because he had met 2 more members of the Straw Hat crew. At this moment, all the people of the kingdom realized that 10 years ago, Doflamingo was the one who controlled King Riku to attack them. While King Riku heard the people's screams, which made him very distressed, suddenly, Doflamingo announced that anyone who kills a bounty of 1 star will receive 100 million berry, and he revealed the list of 1-star bounties. Next were Kyros and Zoro with 2-star bounties, while Sabo, Luffy, Law, and King Riku had 3-star bounties, which thrilled many people. At this moment, Usopp felt relieved, because Doflamingo hadn't put a bounty on him. Suddenly, Doflamingo declared that Usopp had a 5-star bounty, equivalent to 500 million berry. This shocked Usopp. Suddenly, the bounty hunters saw Usopp's group, and began to chase them. At this moment, Kinemon had separated to find Conqueror, so he jumped into the pile of toy trash. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was very pleased, because he had incited people to kill each other. On Frankie's side, he was out of energy, so he needed to quickly find Cola. But the bounty hunters were still pursuing him, so Frankie attacked them. Unexpectedly, the citizens also captured him, because they wanted to survive, but Frankie easily escaped from them. At this moment, Doflamingo instructed Diamante and Trable to return, because he had another plan. At this moment, Sabo's group was still being chased. Suddenly, Zoro called Robin. Luffy realized that Rebecca was with Robin's group, so he felt relieved. Thus, Luffy told Rebecca that the toy soldier was her father, which surprised Rebecca, because her father had always been by her side and protected her. This made Rebecca cry. At this moment, Luffy advised Rebecca to try to survive, and she declared, "I will defeat Doflamingo." Suddenly, Law warned Luffy that their original plan was just to destroy the Smile Factory, but if Luffy kills Doflamingo, he would have to face the wrath of Kaido. This would lead to a direct confrontation with an emperor. But Luffy didn't care about that, because he wanted to save this kingdom. At this moment, the Marines were trying to control the citizens manipulated by Doflamingo. Fujitora said their current goal was to ally with the Straw Hat Pirates, to fight against Doflamingo. At this moment, Luffy took Zoro and Law to find Doflamingo. On Doflamingo's side, he had gathered all his subordinates, while Trable was apologizing to Doflamingo for letting Usopp make Sugar faint. Even Diamante had lost the Maramara fruit, but Doflamingo didn't blame them, and he decided not to let anyone survive and leave the kingdom. On Luffy's side, they had fallen into Senor Pink's area, which surprised them, because Straw Hat Luffy was there. But Luffy realized they didn't have time, so they ran away. However, Dellinger immediately attacked Luffy. Senor Pink grabbed Luffy's leg, and Macvise immediately fell on them. Fortunately, Luffy stretched his leg and managed to avoid it, but his leg was still trapped. When Dellinger was about to kick Luffy, he was unexpectedly pushed from behind by Zoro, causing him to lose his balance and kick Macvise. This allowed Luffy to escape, so they continued running, but they were still surrounded by the citizens. So, Luffy and Zoro couldn't attack them. Suddenly, Fujitora appeared, which surprised everyone, because he was a fleet admiral. At this moment, Fujitora was determined not to let Luffy leave. Luffy realized there was no other way, so he decided to fight Fujitora. Thus, Luffy used Haki and attacked Fujitora. On Doflamingo's side, he received the news that Luffy was fighting Fujitora, which delighted him. Suddenly, Pica proposed to Doflamingo that he handle Luffy. This made the subordinates suppress their laughter, because Pica's voice was very high-pitched, quite different from his appearance. Suddenly, someone couldn't hold back their laughter, which made Pica angry, so he was dealt with by Baby 5, making the others scared, and they dared not laugh at Pica anymore. At this moment, Doflamingo told his subordinates that he lost his mother at the age of 8, and killed his own father at 11, so he considered his commanders as his family, and he would not tolerate anyone mocking his family. Meanwhile, Usopp was being hunted the most fiercely, because he had a bounty of 500 million berry from Doflamingo, but the number of bounty hunters kept increasing, so Hack and Bartolomeo held them off, making Bartolomeo very happy, because he was able to help Robin, while Luffy was struggling with Fujitora. Suddenly, he used gravity. Fortunately, Luffy managed to evade it in time, so Zoro rushed in to attack him, but Fujitora blocked Zoro's attack. On Robin's side, she used her devil fruit powers to create a large net for everyone to climb up when Rebecca was in danger. Luckily, she was saved by a former military commander. Rebecca recognized him as Tank, a former subordinate of her father. At this moment, King Riku also saw Rebecca, which made him very happy. Suddenly, they felt the entire palace shaking, and the ground cracked open. This scared everyone. Suddenly, a giant stone figure appeared, which surprised Luffy. He didn't know what it was. Law recognized him as Pica, but when Pica spoke, Luffy and Zoro couldn't help but laugh, because his voice was very funny, contrasting sharply with his fearsome appearance. This made Pica angry, so he began to raise his fist, causing everyone to be terrified and run away. But Pica punched directly at Luffy and Law, causing a shockwave that blew Zoro away. Pica's punch destroyed part of the town, which frightened everyone. Meanwhile, Zoro was searching for Luffy and Law. Luckily, Luffy and Law were still safe. At this moment, Law blames Luffy for mocking Pica. This made him angry and punch them. Zoro realizes they have been blown quite far from the palace. Suddenly, Cavendish appears. Luffy thinks Cavendish wants to challenge him, but Cavendish says he no longer hates Luffy, because Cavendish was saved by Usopp. He now greatly admires God Usopp. At this point, Cavendish declares he will defeat Doflamingo to repay them for saving his life. This makes Luffy uncomfortable, because he wants to be the one to defeat Doflamingo. It turns out Cavendish wants to defeat Doflamingo to become famous. Luffy thinks Cavendish is a lunatic, so he decides to leave. Meanwhile, Pica realizes Luffy has escaped his punch. This makes him very angry, because Luffy dared to mock him. He is determined to kill Luffy. At this moment, Luffy is blocked by a group of bounty hunters, so Luffy and Zoro attack them, but there are too many of them. Suddenly, Don Chinjao appears, which makes Luffy worried, because he thinks they want to cause trouble for him. So, Luffy decides to run away. Suddenly, Don Chinjao jumps in and defeats all the bounty hunters. This surprises Luffy. It turns out Don Chinjao no longer hates Luffy, and they are also very grateful to Usopp for saving them. So, Don Chinjao decides to defeat Doflamingo to repay them. This makes Luffy uncomfortable and he says, "I am the one who will defeat Doflamingo." Suddenly, Haruden also appears. He also wants to defeat Doflamingo to show his gratitude. This surprises Luffy, because there are too many people wanting to deal with Doflamingo. At this point, everyone is arguing continuously to compete for the chance to fight Doflamingo. Suddenly, the bounty hunters appear again, so these gladiators attack them. When Luffy is about to leave, he encounters UC again. This makes Luffy very happy, so Luffy rides UC to find Doflamingo. When these soldiers try to stop Luffy, they suddenly see many gladiators with Luffy. This scares them, but Pica continues to raise his giant fist. Unexpectedly, when they hear Pica's voice, It makes everyone laugh. This makes Pica very angry, so he attacks them. But Don Chinjao and Bello step in to stop him. Unexpectedly, they are very strong, and they have destroyed Pica's giant arm. This excites everyone. So, Luffy continues to move forward. And the gladiators help Luffy block the soldiers. This scares Doflamingo's soldiers, because the gladiators here are very strong. But, Luffy feels very annoyed, because they keep competing to defeat Doflamingo with him. Meanwhile, Cavendish is very excited, because if he can defeat a warlord of the sea, he will become even more famous. At this moment, Luffy's group continues to move forward, but they are still constantly arguing. Suddenly, Pica unleashes another giant punch, causing everything around to be destroyed. Unexpectedly, Luffy tells UC to run on Pica's arm. This makes him very pleased, because UC runs very fast, but Pica has found them, so he regenerates his arm. At this point, Luffy begins to take action. He jumps up and uses Gear 3. Luffy immediately smashes Pica's head. This surprises everyone, because Luffy is incredibly strong. On Robin's side, they are hanging above the palace. This makes Bartolomeo very happy, because he gets to touch Robin's hand. Suddenly, Rebecca is attacked. It turns out the bounty hunters are still chasing them, so they have grabbed Rebecca's legs. Luckily, Robin manages to save her. Finally, they have climbed to the upper floor, so Robin uses her devil fruit power, causing the bounty hunters to fall down. At this point, everyone thinks Luffy has defeated Pica, but Zoro says he hasn't hit Pica's real body yet, so Zoro uses observation haki to locate Pica. Suddenly, Pica appears right in front of them. This excites Zoro, as Pica is about to attack them, which scares them, so Zoro immediately blocks Pica's attack. He decides to fight Pica here. To let Luffy continue searching for Doflamingo, Zoro says, "My captain doesn't have time to play with a rock, so you can play with me for now." At this moment, Doflamingo's commanders realize that the gladiators are very strong. This excites them greatly. Meanwhile, Frankie has found the Smile Factory. As he is about to destroy it, suddenly, Frankie is captured by Senor Pink, and he throws Frankie to the ground, causing Frankie's laser to miss. On Luffy's side, he is very pleased, because UC runs very fast. This will help him reach Doflamingo soon. But, Jeet and Abdullah are worried about Zoro, because Pica is very strong. However, Luffy says, he'll be fine. Meanwhile, Zoro is fighting Pica, making Pica very angry, because Zoro keeps mocking him as a soprano-voiced dumbass. At this moment, Law tells Luffy, "I want to defeat Doflamingo," and he reveals to Luffy that 13 years ago, Doflamingo killed someone he deeply cared about. His name was Corazon, and Corazon was Doflamingo's brother. This surprises Luffy. At this moment, Robin's group has reached King Riku. Leo discovers that Doflamingo is very far from their location. Rebecca reunites with Viola, which makes her very happy. It turns out Viola found Law's handcuff key. So, Rebecca suggested letting her deliver the key to Luffy and Law. Viola saw Rebecca's determination, thus, she agreed. At this moment, Leo's group also decided to go rescue their princess. While Fujitora was facing off against Sabo, he realized Sabo was the chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army. It turns out Sabo was helping Luffy stop the Marines, leaving Fujitora confused. Why was Sabo helping Luffy? Sabo said it was the responsibility of an older brother. Suddenly, a Marine soldier shot at Sabo. They thought they had taken him down, but Sabo immediately recovered, because his body is fire. The Marines couldn't hit Sabo. At this point, Sabo began to counterattack. He unleashed a powerful fire fist, defeating the Marines. So, Bastille decided to fight Sabo. Unexpectedly, with just one slash, he cut through many houses, but he still couldn't hit Sabo. So, Sabo decided to use Dragon Claw Fist to grab his sword. Surprisingly, Sabo destroyed Bastille's sword, leaving the Marines astonished. As Sabo was about to defeat the Marine Vice Admiral, he suddenly saw a meteorite falling into the birdcage. But, the meteorite was cut into many pieces and fell towards Sabo. However, Sabo was still safe, and he defeated Bastille. At this moment, Fujitora realized Sabo was Luffy's brother, so he felt that the three of them were all troublesome, leaving the Marines shocked. Sabo said, "Whenever Luffy needs help, no matter where he is, I will come to help him," because Sabo didn't want to experience the feeling of losing a brother again. Suddenly, Fujitora used gravity on Sabo, so Sabo also released his devil fruit power. and he attacked Fujitora. At this point, Luffy was still running quickly towards Doflamingo, scaring the soldiers. Because they couldn't stop, you see. Suddenly, Luffy encountered Cavendish. Luffy realized the gladiators had caught up with him, and they had defeated many of Doflamingo's soldiers. So, Luffy realized he needed to be faster. Suddenly, Kelly told Luffy that he knew a shortcut that would help Luffy go faster. So, Luffy chased after him. While Law was still handcuffed, he told Luffy to find a way to unlock the handcuffs first. At this moment, Kelly led Luffy to a tunnel. So, Luffy ran inside. Unexpectedly, these two fell down. Suddenly, Robin called out to Luffy. She informed him that Viola had found the key to unlock Law's handcuffs. So, they arranged to meet in the flower field. Meanwhile, Kelly was very pleased, because Luffy had fallen into his trap. It turned out Kelly wanted to capture Luffy for the bounty, while Leo's group had summoned a swarm of yellow bugs, making them worried. Robin didn't know if the yellow bugs could help them fly. Suddenly, Leo pushed all three down, making them scared. Unexpectedly, the bugs made their bodies lighter, and they could easily fly by jumping on rooftops, making all three very happy, as they could quickly reach the flower field. Meanwhile, Frankie was fighting Senor Pink, but he could swim on the ground, so Frankie couldn't hit him. Suddenly, Frankie was captured by Senor Pink. Thus, Frankie punched him. Unexpectedly, he continued to disappear. At this moment, Zoro was still fighting Pica, which made Zoro very excited. Meanwhile, Kelly was waiting for Luffy to return so he could ambush him. Unexpectedly, he was attacked from behind. At this moment, Luffy realized the tunnel was a dead end. Suddenly, Luffy and Law heard someone approaching. It turned out to be Doflamingo, so Luffy attacked him, but Doflamingo blocked his punch. Suddenly, he used string bullets to shoot UC, which delighted Doflamingo. At this moment, he said Luffy was just a fool, because he was too easily caught in traps. And Doflamingo mentioned Corazon, making Law furious. When he was about to deal with Law, suddenly, he was attacked from behind by Jeet and Abdullah. Unexpectedly, it was just a clone of Doflamingo, so his clone disappeared. Thus, Luffy and Law were safe. At this moment, Kyros saw the city in chaos, increasing his hatred for Doflamingo. Meanwhile, Luffy was pulled out of the water, so he decided to create a shortcut for himself. Luffy used Gear 3, and he threw a punch up to the floor above, creating a large hole. So, Luffy jumped up, surprising Doflamingo's soldiers. On Sabo's side, he was still fighting Fujitora. Suddenly, Fujitora used gravity to press down on Sabo. So, Sabo used Dragon Claw Fist to block his attack, causing the Marines to be frightened, because their fight was too intense. At this moment, Bellamy went to find Doflamingo. He asked Doflamingo why he wanted to kill him. Doflamingo replied, "You are no longer valuable to me, and what I want to do is destroy this world," leaving Bellamy astonished. Meanwhile, Luffy and the gladiators were running towards Doflamingo. Suleiman was facing Delinger, but Suleiman was quickly defeated by Delinger. At this point, Doflamingo's commanders appeared. As Don Chinjao was about to climb to the next floor, he fell into Gladius's explosive trap, causing him to fall down. So, they were continuously defeated by Doflamingo's commanders. Meanwhile, the entire kingdom was in chaos. Thus, the citizens banded together to restrain the controlled people. Suddenly, they discovered King Riku and God Usopp. So, they wanted to capture King Riku to hand him over to Doflamingo, because doing so would give them a chance to survive, leaving Usopp shocked. At this moment, Kinemon was searching for Conqueror. Suddenly, he heard someone snoring loudly. Meanwhile, the tiny people were being enslaved, continuously beaten by the soldiers, because they had captured their princess to force them to work. Suddenly, they saw a signal from their friends. At this moment, the tiny people realized they had been tricked. So, they decided to fight back, and they retaliated against the soldiers. On the gladiators' side, they were continuously attacked by Doflamingo's commanders, because they were too strong. The gladiators were struggling in the fight. At this point, Luffy had caught up with Law and the others. But, Luffy was still far from Doflamingo. Suddenly, Cavendish arrived. He told Luffy to get on his horse, making Luffy very happy. So, Cavendish took Luffy and Law to search for Doflamingo. Suddenly, he noticed Kyros was also behind him, making him angry, because his horse was overloaded. While Luffy was chatting with Kyros, Luffy tells Kyros he and Rebecca have arranged to meet in the flower field. At this moment, Kyros says that he must definitely kill Diamante. Suddenly, they see the gladiators have tried to hold back Doflamingo's subordinates to support Luffy in moving forward, because they realize they're not a match for Doflamingo. They decide to support Luffy, making Luffy very happy. Suddenly, the soldiers target Luffy, but the gladiators immediately team up to stop them. So, Cavendish continues to lead Luffy. Gladius intends to stop Luffy, but he is blocked by Sai. At this moment, Sai and Idio attack Gladius and Lao Ji together. However, they fall into Gladius's explosive trap. While Baby 5 is fighting Don Chinjao, Bello is fighting Dellinger, but he is overpowered by Dellinger. So, Haruden comes to help him. Unexpectedly, Haruden is stopped by Macvis. At this moment, Luffy realizes that everyone is trying to help him, so he needs to quickly get to the palace. But they are continuously blocked by the soldiers, so Cavendish and Luffy jointly attack them. On Kinemon's side, he has found Conqueror. This makes him very happy, so he immediately hugs Conqueror. At this moment, Conqueror realizes Momo is still safe, so he feels relieved. Kinemon says that their important task now is to leave this place. Suddenly, Conqueror starts drawing a bird, but it is very ugly, so Conqueror turns this drawn bird into a real bird, which surprises everyone. However, they find it too ugly. At this point, Conqueror and Kinemon get on the bird to fly up. Suddenly, the soldiers also want to leave, because they want to help King Riku, so Conqueror draws a staircase for them. At this moment, Luffy sees that Dellinger has defeated Gilly, which makes him worried. But Cavendish says that he needs to quickly go to Doflamingo, because as long as they defeat Doflamingo, the game will end. Suddenly, Cavendish's horse stops, because it senses something ahead. It turns out to be a horde of giant toys. So, they start attacking Luffy's group. On Zoro's side, he is still fighting Pica. But Zoro completely overwhelms Pica, making him very exhausted. So, Pica merges with the rocks to attack him. However, Zoro dodges, and he slashes Pica. Unexpectedly, Pica escapes. Pica continues to control the rocks to attack Zoro. Suddenly, Zoro sees Robin's group flying here. So, Pica targets them, and he commands the giant stone man to attack Robin's group, which makes Bartolomeo worried. Luckily, Zoro arrives in time, and he delivers a powerful slash, splitting Pica's giant body in half. Unexpectedly, he also hits Pica. At this moment, Zoro starts to understand his powers, which makes Bartolomeo very happy, because Zoro is so cool. Meanwhile, the tiny tribes inside the Smile Factory are rebelling to find their princess. Unexpectedly, they are very strong, and they easily defeat the guards, but they still can't find their princess anywhere. Outside the Smile Factory, Frankie is continuously knocked down by Senor Pink. Suddenly, Frankie lies to Senor Pink. He says he sees a frail old lady in need of help, because Frankie knew Senor Pink was a good person. Unexpectedly, Senor Pink believes him, and he quickly leaves. Inside the Smile Factory, the tiny people are trying to open the door. Suddenly, the factory manager appears, so she attacks them, and she uses a vacuum cleaner to deal with the tiny people. Suddenly, the factory door opens. It turns out Frankie opened the door, which makes everyone very happy, because they realize Frankie came to rescue them. Meanwhile, the old man is still frantically searching for the princess, but he still can't find her. On Frankie's side, he doesn't know who this fat woman is. Suddenly, she attacks Frankie, so Frankie blocks her. When she tries to hit Frankie, unexpectedly, Frankie immediately hugs her. At this point, Luffy's group is fighting the giant toys, but there are too many of them. Luffy realizes they don't have much time, so they need to quickly deal with the giant toys, while Frankie is still holding off the fat woman, preventing her from escaping. Suddenly, Senor Pink returns. He realizes Frankie has deceived him. When he tries to attack Frankie, Frankie throws the fat woman at Senor Pink. So, Frankie takes down both of them, which makes the fat woman very angry, because Frankie dared to be rude to a woman. Suddenly, Frankie grabs the fat woman and kisses her, which surprises everyone. Unexpectedly, the fat woman feels embarrassed, and she wants Frankie to be her boyfriend. At this point, Senor Pink also stands up, and both decide to show off their masculinity, making the girls swoon over them. Everyone realizes this is a battle between two men. Meanwhile, Luffy's group has defeated the giant toys, so they can move on, while Pica is very angry, because Zoro has wounded him. He continuously attacks Zoro. At this point, Robin's group is nearing the flower field. Suddenly, Leo receives a report. They haven't found the princess in the Smile Factory. which makes Leo worried. On King Riku's side, he realizes that the princess of the tiny tribe is in the palace, so he asks Viola to try to find her. Viola uses her devil fruit powers. Suddenly, Usopp sees Kinemon has arrived, and he has found his friend. While Viola is still looking into the palace, she discovers the princess is imprisoned in the deepest room of the palace. At this moment, the princess of the tiny tribe is crying, because she is very scared and wants to go home. So, Viola informs Leo of the princess's location, which makes him very happy. Thus, he is determined to rescue his princess. On Luffy's side, as they prepare to leave, suddenly, Cavendish's horse is attacked, rendering it immobile. It turns out the giant toys are not yet defeated. At this moment, Viola realizes Sugar has awakened. Meanwhile, Sugar is very angry at Usopp. She hates anything with a long shape, and Sugar has turned her subordinates into toys to go after the Straw Hat crew. At this point, Usopp realizes if Sugar touches Luffy, he will be turned into a toy, and everyone will forget him. So, Usopp is determined to prevent this from happening, which surprises Kinemon, since Usopp is about to shoot Sugar from a great distance. He can't even see clearly inside the palace. But, Usopp has come up with a way to defeat Sugar. On Sai's side, he is fighting Baby 5. Sai says he's ready to take all of her attacks. Baby 5 thinks Sai needs her. Meanwhile, Don Chinjao is facing off against Lao Ji. So, they are using all their strength to attack each other. Suddenly, Gladius sees Robin's group. Thus, he attacks them, and he hits Bartolomeo. Robin also falls down. When he tries to attack Robin, she uses her devil fruit powers to restrain him. So, Robin tells Rebecca to go ahead. At this point, Luffy is still trying to defeat the giant toys, but they keep getting up. Suddenly, Bartolomeo and Robin fall down to Luffy's location, which surprises them. Robin tells them Rebecca is heading to the flower field. Suddenly, Gladius stands up to block them. So, Robin and Bartolomeo decide to fight him, to allow Luffy to continue searching for Doflamingo. While Rebecca has reached the flower field, she will wait here for Luffy's group. Leo says he will go rescue his princess, so, Leo leaves. At this point, Rebecca sees the sunflower field, reminding her of memories with her father. Suddenly, Diamante appears, which surprises Rebecca. It turns out he was waiting here for her. At this moment, Gladius attacks Luffy. So, Bartolomeo creates barriers to block his attacks, which makes Bartolomeo very happy, because Luffy praises him. Thus, Bartolomeo uses his powers to create a staircase, which makes Luffy very happy, and Luffy thanks him, which makes Bartolomeo extremely happy and brings him to tears. So, Luffy continues to move forward with Law. On Sabo's side, he is still fighting Fujitora, making the Marines worried, because Sabo is too strong. But, Fujitora also uses his devil fruit powers, and he delivers a powerful slash at Sabo. However, Sabo dodges it, and he immediately counterattacks Fujitora. At this moment, Rebecca is very surprised, because Diamante is here waiting for her. So, he attacks Rebecca. On Luffy and Kyros' side, they are running towards the flower field. But, Cavendish decides to stay here, because he wants to avenge his horse. Suddenly, Gladius attacks Luffy. So, Bartolomeo blocks for him with his body. It turns out his number of barriers is limited, therefore, he can't create any more barriers. Despite this, Bartolomeo is determined to support Luffy. Cavendish and Robin see his determination, so they decide to protect Bartolomeo. Robin uses her devil fruit powers to capture Gladius, because she will not let anyone hurt her captain. At this moment, Diamante is toying with Rebecca, and he continuously attacks her. He mocks that Rebecca is too weak. She won't be able to defeat Doflamingo, so he throws Rebecca backwards. He asks, "Do you want to kill me to avenge your mother?" Which makes Rebecca very angry, because she remembers her mother's death. Suddenly, Rebecca remembers Luffy. He promised to defeat Doflamingo. So, Rebecca calms down and runs away, because her mission is to deliver the key to Luffy's group. Suddenly, Diamante extends his sword and hits Rebecca, causing her to get injured. As he is about to kill Rebecca, the gun crew who killed her mother, suddenly, Kyros arrives just in time and attacks him. He is determined not to lose any more loved ones. At this moment, Rebecca reunites with her father, which makes her very emotional. But, Diamante continues to get up, and he is determined to kill them. So, Kyros and Diamante fight each other. At this point, Luffy also arrives, making Rebecca very happy. Unexpectedly, there is still a toy pursuing them. So, Luffy jumps up, and he asks Rebecca to give him the key. While the toy is attacking Luffy, he manages to get the key, but they are swallowed by the toy. Fortunately, Law has been freed, so he cuts through the toy. At this point, they are very close to Doflamingo, which angers Diamante, so he attacks them. But Kyros blocks him, because he is Diamante's true opponent. At this moment, Luffy thanks Rebecca for the key. Suddenly, Rebecca asks, "Can you really defeat Doflamingo, Lucy?" So, Luffy replies, "My name is Luffy, and I'm the man who will become the Pirate King." Then, Luffy leaves, which makes Diamante furious, and he continues to try to stop them. But Law quickly teleports himself and Luffy inside, making Diamante even angrier. At this point, Luffy and Law are inside the palace. So, Luffy wants to immediately find Doflamingo, but Law says they need a plan first. While the two are arguing, Sugar is furious, because Usopp ruined her 10-year plan. So, she wants to take revenge on the Straw Hat crew. Meanwhile, Usopp has asked Conqueror to draw a picture, to prepare for the plan to defeat Sugar. Then, Usopp puts Conqueror's drawing into his ammunition. At this moment, Viola locates Sugar for Usopp. While Usopp is ready to shoot her down, suddenly, Viola sees Sugar getting close to Luffy and Law, but the townspeople arrive, and they find King Riku and God Usopp. So, the townspeople want to capture them to hand over to Doflamingo. At this point, Sugar gets closer to Luffy and Law, so she pretends to be a lost child, to attract their attention, which surprises Luffy. He doesn't understand why there's a little girl here, but Law tells Luffy to ignore her. Meanwhile, Usopp is highly focused, because he only has one chance. King Riku and the others hold back the townspeople, so they don't disturb Usopp. At this moment, Viola is still guiding Usopp to Sugar's position. Usopp realizes he cannot miss his shot, while Sugar is trying to get close enough to touch Luffy and Law. Suddenly, Usopp starts trembling, because he is too nervous. Usopp realizes that if he misses, Luffy will be turned into a toy, so he must try to focus. Accidentally, Usopp sees everything clearly, and he sees their silhouettes. It turns out Usopp has awakened observation haki, so Usopp shoots at Sugar. Just before the townspeople can catch him, it turns out Usopp's bullet has 4 layers, and it explodes to propel the next layer forward. So, the bullet flies straight towards Sugar. As Sugar is about to touch Luffy and Law, suddenly, the bullet flies right in front of her, which terrifies Sugar because it has Usopp's face on it. So, Sugar faints. Meanwhile, Robin's group realizes that all the toys have stopped moving. Viola realizes that Usopp has succeeded. At this moment, Luffy and Law continue to jump up, and they finally reach Doflamingo, which amuses him. He asks, "What are you here for?" "We're here to defeat you." At this moment, Luffy and Law finally reach the top of the castle, to face with Doflamingo. He immediately asked, "Why have you come here?" Luffy said, "We've come here to defeat you." Suddenly, Luffy witnessed him mercilessly torturing Bellamy, despite being his subordinate. This immediately made Luffy furious, and he kicked him. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo used Bellamy to block the attack for himself. He then created a clone made of string to attack Law. When Luffy was about to deal with Doflamingo, he immediately controlled Bellamy to stop him. At that moment, Law told Luffy to knock Bellamy out, but Luffy immediately refused. "He is my friend," Doflamingo said. "Weaklings don't get to choose their own deaths," which made Luffy angrily tell Law, "Now, I will immediately defeat him," which surprised Law, because this plan was meant to be a last-minute resort. So Luffy immediately turned to attack Law, making them think Luffy had gone mad. Unexpectedly, Law swapped positions with Doflamingo, so he was immediately hit by a powerful fiery fist from Luffy. While Law took care of this snotty-nosed guy, he immediately cut him into pieces that couldn't be reattached. But Doflamingo remained nothing matter, so he created a clone to fight Luffy. Meanwhile, Admiral Fujitora recognized that the Navy was not the one to rescue this kingdom, and that person was none other than Luffy. At this time, Luffy was fighting against Doflamingo. He shot threads at Luffy. Meanwhile, Trebol thought he had reattached his body, but he was surprised to find himself being separated again. When Law was about to finish off Trebol, Doflamingo immediately blocked Law, so he immediately struck a blow that knocked Law out. When Luffy rushed over, he was kicked away by him. He continued to tie up Luffy's arms and threw him at Bellamy, then controlled Bellamy to attack Luffy. At this moment, Doflamingo revealed his true identity. He is the Celestial Dragon. This surprised both Luffy and Law, but he was pushed onto the path to become a pirate as it is now. because his father had given up being a celestial dragon, exchange for a peaceful, normal life, so he killed his own father with his own hands, and now, his goal is to destroy this world. While the people of the entire kingdom were being controlled by Doflamingo, caused them to turn attack each other. At this moment, he continued to relentlessly attack Luffy, but Luffy's arms were still bound and unable to break free, so Luffy used his leg to block his attacks. Unexpected, Doflamingo's clone had reappeared behind him. He immediately kicked Luffy down below to separate Luffy and Law. At this point, only Law remained above. Doflamingo revealed to Law, it turns out his goal is to take Law's OP devil fruit, because the true abilities of this devil fruit could enable him to control the treasures of the Holy Land Mariajoy. And it is a supreme devil fruit that can grant immortality to humans. So Doflamingo continued to attack Law, in order to reclaim the OP devil fruit. It turns out that Law's goal is to avenge Corazon. 16 years ago in White City, Law was just a 10-year-old boy, because Law wanted to join Doflamingo's crew. Law continuously fought with his commanders, because if Law defeated one of Doflamingo's commanders, he would be allowed to join his crew, but Law was too weak, so they mocked him, even though Law was constantly being defeated, but he still didn't give up. It turns out Law only had 3 years left to live, because he had contracted a terminal illness, so they constantly mocked him. Suddenly, Corazon appeared, but he immediately fell down. This made Baby 5 and Buffalo very happy. However, both of them were quickly hit by Corazon, so Law started paying attention to Corazon. It turns out Corazon was also a commander of the Don Quixote family, and he was actually Doflamingo's biological brother, but he couldn't speak, because he was traumatized by a horrifying event in the past. Suddenly, Corazon threw Law out of the window, because he didn't like children. This made Law very angry, so Law decided he had to kill Corazon. At that time, Doflamingo's Don Quixote family was eating. Suddenly, Law walked in. It turned out that a week had passed since Law met Corazon, but Law still hadn't been able to kill him. Doflamingo said that Law could do whatever he wanted. However, Corazon was the brother he cherished the most, so he would kill anyone who dared to harm Corazon. Suddenly, they discovered that Law's illness was amber lead syndrome, a contagious disease. This made them terrified, but Doflamingo said that the disease was just a rumor, because amber lead syndrome is caused by poisoning and is not contagious. While Doflamingo was very amused, because Law was no longer afraid of anything. He wasn't even afraid of death, so Law warned Corazon, "I will definitely kill you." At this moment, the Don Quixote family attacked the base of a pirate crew. They quickly wiped out all the enemies there, and they obtained a lot of money. At this moment, Baby 5 didn't know what amber lead syndrome was, so Gladius explained it to her. It turns out the people of White City were once very wealthy, because they discovered a rare substance called amber lead underground. It helped White City's business thrive, but the world government hid the fact that amber lead would poison the body, and those affected by this poison would have their lifespan shortened with each generation. Meanwhile, Law remembered his family. It turns out that Law's parents were both doctors in White City, and Law had a younger sister. Suddenly, one day, Law's sister fell ill. Eventually, all the people in the city started getting sick as well. Their skin and hair gradually turned white. At this point, Law's father discovered that his daughter had a terminal illness. This made them very worried. After that, all the sick people were forced into quarantine, but the citizens resisted, so they were all killed by the soldiers, and White City began to be destroyed. They were ready to kill anyone infected with the disease. So, Law hid his sister in a pile of clothes. Then, he went to look for his parents, but Law's parents had already been killed. This caused Law immense grief. Suddenly, the soldiers spotted Law, so he ran away. At that moment, Law realized that everyone in the city was already dead. Even the hospital where he hid his sister was burning. This left Law in despair. From that point on, White City vanished, and Law was the only survivor. At this moment, Law still deeply resented Corazon, so he secretly stabbed him in the back with a sword. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was dreaming about his own past, when his entire family was captured by the villagers, because the people there deeply hated the celestial dragons. This filled Doflamingo with fear. Suddenly, he woke up, so he tried to regain his composure. It turns out that 33 years ago, Doflamingo's father decided to move his family away from Mary Joieuse, because he wanted to live as an ordinary citizen. This made the other celestial dragons furious, so they considered him a disgrace to the celestial dragons. At this point, Doflamingo's family had moved into a new house. But Doflamingo didn't want to live this way, so his father decided to teach Doflamingo how to live like an ordinary person, and they went into town to shop. When the townspeople discovered that they were celestial dragons, it shocked everyone, so Doflamingo demanded that everyone kneel before him. Unexpectedly, they came to burn down Doflamingo's house. Because the townspeople harbored deep hatred for the celestial dragons, fortunately, his family managed to escape into the forest, so they temporarily got away. At this point, Doflamingo's father called Mary Joie for help, but they abandoned him because they considered him a traitor. In the following days, Doflamingo was continuously beaten. He was even forced to eat food from the trash. However, his mother fell ill and passed away. This caused them immense grief. After that, the villagers managed to capture them. This made Doflamingo deeply resent his father. At this point, Doflamingo brought Law over, while Law was surprised, because Corazon was still alive. Suddenly, Doflamingo agreed to let Law join the Don Quixote family. This left Law surprised, because he realized that Corazon never told Doflamingo he attacked him. At this moment, Doflamingo said he would help Law find a devil fruit that could cure his illness. Suddenly, Corazon's wound began to bleed. This surprised Doflamingo, but Corazon still didn't reveal that Law was the one who did it. This left Law confused. He didn't understand why Corazon wanted to protect him. After that, they began training Law, helping him become a formidable member of the Don Quixote family. But 2 years passed. The white spots on Law's body spread rapidly. At this point, Baby 5 asked Law what his real name was. When Corazon learned that Law's name had the letter D, it left him shocked. So, Corazon immediately took Law away. Law had no idea what Corazon wanted. Suddenly, Corazon began to speak. This surprised Law. Corazon told Law that he must leave Doflamingo immediately. At this point, Law thought Corazon had been deceiving Doflamingo, but Corazon said, "I never told you I was mute." Suddenly, Corazon used his devil fruit ability. All the sounds around Law suddenly disappeared. This left him surprised. It turns out Corazon had eaten the calm fruit. It allowed him to create an invisible soundproof barrier. So, Law asked why Corazon was betraying his own comrades. But Corazon said, "I never considered them my comrades." His goal was to stop Doflamingo, because Doflamingo was an inhumane person. It turns out that when Doflamingo's family was about to be burned alive by the villagers, his father kept begging everyone to spare his 2 children. But Doflamingo still harbored deep hatred for them, and he swore to kill every single one of them. Corazon didn't want Law to become like him, so he told Law that he must leave Doflamingo. At this moment, Corazon revealed to Law the D in his name belonged to the clan of D, and the celestial dragons in Mary Joie. They all viewed D as the natural enemy of God. This left Law shocked. But Law didn't believe what Corazon was saying, so Law intended to run off and inform Doflamingo. Corazon quickly stopped him, but Law pushed him down. At this moment, Corazon was very worried, because he feared that Law would reveal his secret. As Corazon was about to escape, he suddenly encountered Doflamingo. He thought that Doflamingo had discovered his secret, but Doflamingo still didn't know anything. This surprised Corazon. It turns out that Law still hadn't revealed Corazon's secret. At this moment, Doflamingo's crew was being attacked by the navy, but they couldn't find Corazon anywhere. It turns out Corazon had taken Law and left. This made Law angry. At this moment, Corazon called Sengoku. He informed him that he would be taking a break for a while. It turns out Corazon was actually an undercover marine. Meanwhile, Virgo was also acting as a spy within the Marines. At this point, Law realized that Corazon was a Marine. This made Law hate Corazon even more, because the Marines are the lapdogs of the world government. But Corazon didn't care. He immediately took Law to find a hospital, because he was determined to cure Law's illness. Unexpectedly, as soon as the doctors recognized it as amber lead syndrome, they were terrified and wanted to call the authorities. This made Law angry, and he left. At this moment, Corazon realized that everyone discriminated against Law. This caused Law deep pain. So, Corazon immediately attacked the doctor and burned down the entire hospital. But Corazon still didn't give up. He was determined to find a doctor who could cure Law. However, no matter which hospital he went to, they were all terrified and reported to the world government. But he still didn't give up. 6 months passed, yet Corazon still couldn't find a doctor to cure Law. This made him very angry, because he could feel the pain that Law was enduring. So, Corazon blamed himself. This made Law break down in tears as well. The next morning, Law woke up early and cooked for Corazon. This shocked him. Meanwhile, Corazon was overjoyed. Suddenly, Doflamingo called him. He knew that Corazon was trying to cure Law, so Doflamingo informed them. He had found information about the Ope devil fruit, and he will buy that devil fruit at a very high price from the pirates. Although the Marines were also monitoring this transaction, Doflamingo wanted Corazon to eat the devil fruit, so that he could use it to cure Law's illness. At this point, Doflamingo began to suspect that Corazon might be an undercover Marine. Meanwhile, Corazon was feeling very happy, because he had found a way to cure Law's illness, and he knew that Law had studied medicine before, so he wanted Law to eat the devil fruit. At this moment, Corazon said that he and Law would not return anymore, because he knew Doflamingo had realized he was an undercover Marine. And Doflamingo wants Corazon to eat the Ope devil fruit. He wanted Corazon to sacrifice himself to help him gain immortality, so Corazon decided to take the Ope fruit first, and he immediately asked Sengoku about the Ope fruit. This surprised Sengoku, because Corazon knew the secret of the Marines, and he began to plan how to obtain the Ope fruit. Suddenly, Corazon discovered that Law had fainted. He realized Law's condition was very critical. This caused Corazon to become extremely worried, so Corazon immediately set out for the transaction location, inside a bar. The pirates were very excited, because their Ope fruit would be sold for 5 billion berry. If a doctor consumed the devil fruit, the doctor would be able to cure all incurable diseases. Meanwhile, Corazon had left Law in town, and he ran off to steal the devil fruit. This left the pirates unaware that they were being attacked, because Corazon's ability could nullify all sounds. He quickly managed to steal the devil fruit from them. This made Corazon very happy, but he accidentally slipped and fell. So, the pirates surrounded and attacked him. Meanwhile, Law was extremely worried about Corazon. The Marines had also surrounded the entire island, to prevent Doflamingo's transaction. At this point, Corazon had defeated the pirates. When Law regained consciousness, he saw that Corazon had returned. This reassured Law. Meanwhile, Corazon was very happy, and he immediately shoved the Ope fruit into Law's mouth, so Law consumed it. Suddenly, Corazon collapsed. It turned out that Corazon was severely injured. This made Law very worried, but he didn't know how to treat Corazon. At this moment, Corazon realized he couldn't move anymore, so he asked Law to deliver a letter to the Marines, and the letter would help save the kingdom of Dressrosa. Thus, Law went to find the Marines. He came across a Marine soldier. Law handed the letter to him. Unexpectedly, this Marine soldier was Virgo. Law asked him to help save Corazon. When Corazon saw Virgo, he was surprised. When Corazon tried to retrieve the letter, he was attacked by Virgo. At this moment, Law also realized that Virgo was a spy of Doflamingo embedded in the Marines. Virgo then threw Law away. Virgo recognized that Corazon had betrayed Doflamingo, so he used Haki to attack him. Law watched as Virgo continued to torture Corazon, leaving him feeling helpless. Suddenly, Virgo targeted Law and attacked him as well. Then, Virgo informed Doflamingo about everything. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was furious that Corazon had stolen the devil fruit, so he told Virgo to keep watch over them. Suddenly, Virgo discovered that both had vanished. Thus, Doflamingo began to use his birdcage to prevent Corazon from escaping. At this moment, Corazon realized he couldn't escape anymore, but he decided that he had to help Law escape, and he smiled brightly, so that Law would never forget his smile. This shocked Law. At this moment, the pirates inside the birdcage were being controlled by Doflamingo. This caused them to attack each other, and they were all eliminated by Doflamingo. At this moment, Doflamingo remembered when he killed his father. This made him very angry, because this time, it was his brother's turn to betray him. While Corazon was trying to draw their attention, they kept attacking him. Law realized Corazon was in danger, but he couldn't escape. At this moment, Corazon was surrounded by them, and they kept beating him. This caused Corazon great pain, but he kept smiling. They then forced Corazon to hand over the devil fruit, but he still refused to say anything. Suddenly, Doflamingo arrived. Corazon remembered the moment when Doflamingo had just killed their father. He had met Sengoku, and since then, he had become a marine officer. Doflamingo saw Corazon pointing a gun at him. This made him very angry. Meanwhile, Law was hiding in the chest behind them, and he heard everything. At this moment, Corazon told Doflamingo, Law had already eaten the Ope fruit and escaped. This made Doflamingo very angry. On the Marines' side, they also reported finding a boy. This surprised Corazon. It turned out that the boy was Drake. Doflamingo thought that Law had escaped onto the marine ship. This made him angry. Meanwhile, Corazon felt fortunate because of this coincidence. So, Doflamingo ordered his subordinates to prepare to chase the marine ship. At this moment, Doflamingo also pointed a gun at Corazon, and he knew for sure that Corazon wouldn't dare pull the trigger, because Corazon was very much like their father. It turns out that Corazon had lied to Law earlier, saying that Doflamingo wouldn't kill him, and then he used his devil fruit ability to create a soundproof barrier. So, Law felt safe hiding inside the chest. But, now Law realized, Corazon had lied to him, because Doflamingo wanted to kill him. At this moment, Corazon said, Law is free now, but Doflamingo immediately shot Corazon. This caused Law great pain, so, Corazon fell down. And Doflamingo also took the treasure chests and left. Corazon realized he couldn't die yet, because he still had to maintain his devil fruit ability to ensure Law's escape. Meanwhile, Law was crying loudly, but Doflamingo couldn't hear his cries. Suddenly, the marine ship attacked them. Corazon's ability had also disappeared. Law realized that Corazon had died. This caused him great pain. Law was now fighting Doflamingo on his own, despite Law's continuous attacks, but they were all obstructed by him using his 5-color strings. It turns out that Law's main goal is to seek revenge for Corazon, and Corazon is also the younger brother of Doflamingo, who was killed by Doflamingo's own hands. He proceeded to release his devil fruit power once again. On Luffy's side, he was trying to help Bellamy break free from his control. When Luffy was about to attack, he immediately used Bellamy as a shield. At this point, Law asked Doflamingo, "What do you think about the D in Luffy's name?" Because Law knew he was a celestial dragon, and was very afraid of those with the initial D in their names. Suddenly, Law revealed that his own name also contained the D. Meanwhile, Luffy punched Doflamingo's clone into the wall. But he continued to use Bellamy to obstruct him, which made Luffy very angry. On Kyros' side, he was battling Diamante, a high-ranking officer. At this point, Diamante had used his devil fruit, turned the ground as soft as a flag, while Zoro was engaged in a battle with Pica. Sabo was trying to rescue the kingdom's citizens, and Doflamingo, upon learning that there's a D in Law's name, became furious and continued to attack him relentlessly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Law immediately counterattacked, causing Doflamingo to be injured, but for him, it still didn't seem to matter. So, Law proceeded to release his devil fruit power once more. Law immediately teleported to attack him, but Doflamingo managed to block it and kicked him down to the ground. He thought he had defeated Law. Surprising, Law immediately appeared behind him. Law cut off a piece of the castle and threw it straight at Doflamingo. So he used his string net to block it. No matter how Law continuously attacked, he couldn't make a single armpit hair fall off him. On Luffy's side, he still didn't know how to free Bellamy, so Luffy had to capture him first, but Doflamingo immediately obstructed him. On Zoro's side, he was still battling the stone human, Pica. He thought he had defeated Zoro. Unexpectedly, he was sliced into many pieces by Zoro. At this point, he had entered the castle. Pica even transformed into a larger form to continue his attack on Zoro. While Law was captured by Doflamingo, he pulled the strings from his leg and plunged straight to the ground. Doflamingo cut off one of Law's arms, causing him immense pain. Luffy, on the other hand, activated Gear 2. He quickly teleported in front of the clone, delivering a fiery punch to it, when Doflamingo was about to finish off Law, similar to how he killed his own brother. At this point, Luffy had defeated the clone, made he very surprised, and he realized, "I have underestimated you, Straw Hat." Doflamingo felt he had played enough, so Doflamingo released Bellamy, and kicked him from his crew. It turns out that in the past, Bellamy greatly admired Doflamingo, so Bellamy wanted to join his pirate crew. At this moment, he recalled the first met with Luffy. Despite being defeated by Luffy and always considering Luffy as his rival, but Luffy considered Bellamy as his friend. Suddenly, Bellamy wanted to challenge Luffy. Even though he was exhausted, he still tried to use his special technique. At this moment, Sai was still fighting Baby 5, but Baby 5 kept misunderstanding Sai's intentions. She kept thinking that Sai wanted to marry her. Meanwhile, Don Chinjao was fighting Lao Ji. But, Lao Ji was very strong, and he kept attacking Don Chinjao. However, Don Chinjao was still unharmed. Meanwhile, Baby 5 kept insisting on marrying Sai. This frustrated Sai. She even promised to fulfill any request Sai made. So, he said, You should die." This surprised Baby 5. Unexpectedly, Baby 5 would actually die because of him. This astonished Sai. As he had only been joking, it turned out that Baby 5 had been abandoned by her mother since childhood, because her mother saw Baby 5 as useless. Thus, she believed that no one would need her. At this moment, Baby 5 was happy, because she thought Sai needed her, so she was willing to die for him. When Sai tried to stop her, suddenly, Don Chinjao jumped in to block Sai, because Sai was protecting his enemy. But Sai remained determined to stop Baby 5, so Don Chinjao used Haki to attack Sai. But Sai also used Haki on his legs. He immediately blocked his grandfather's attack. Unexpectedly, Sai bent Don Chinjao's drill-shaped nose. This surprised everyone. So, Sai stopped Baby 5. She didn't understand why he was stopping her. At this moment, Sai realized that Baby 5 always saw herself as useless. Meanwhile, Don Chinjao was very pleased, because Sai had surpassed him. Don Chinjao decided to appoint Sai as the commander of his army. Meanwhile, Lao Ji was very angry. He then defeated Don Chinjao with a powerful blow. It turned out that Lao Ji had unleashed his full strength. This made Sai furious. He decided to defeat Lao Ji. But Lao Ji was very fast. He easily blocked Sai's attacks. Meanwhile, Baby 5 was happy, because she thought they were fighting over her. Unexpectedly, Lao Ji knocked Sai into the wall. But Sai got up again. He was determined to defeat Lao Ji, so both of them unleashed their full strength. Sai was determined to marry Baby 5, which made her very happy. Both of them then unleashed their strongest attacks. However, Sai kicked Lao Ji in the head, and Sai emerged victorious. On the other hand, the others were still engaged in a fierce battle. The giant was constantly being pinned to the ground by the fat guy. He thought he had defeated him, so he started to target Zoro. But Hajerdine remembered Luffy and wanted to repay Usopp for saving him, so he was forced to win. When Macvise was about to use his 1,000-ton weight to crush Zoro, Hajerdine unexpectedly stood up. So Macvise immediately redirected his attack towards him. That's when Hajerdine used all his strength to block the heavy blow from the Macvise. This resulted in Hajerdine's bones being broken, so Macvise continued to increase the weight to 10,000 tons. But Hajerdine still didn't give up. He threw a punch that sent Macvise flying straight into Doflamingo's birdcage. In the end, he emerged victorious, while Zoro continued to battle Pica, so he went on to attack Pica's face. But Zoro kept slashing without hitting his true body, because he kept evading, so Bello suggested that he would lend a hand. It turns out he had a technique that could force Pica to appear, but Zoro said, "I will be the one to defeat him." Suddenly, he attacked both of them. On Kyros' side, he was battling Diamante. It turns out he was the one who killed Kyros' wife. So Kyros was determined to defeat this ruthless individual. Unexpectedly, he could turn his clothes into steel to block Kyros' attacks. Suddenly, he aimed at Rebecca, so he rushed to intercept him. Realizing that this ruthless guy kept targeting his daughter, so Kyros was determined to protect her. On Bellamy's side, he wanted to challenge Luffy, to protect his last trace of pride. But Luffy had no reason to fight him, which reminded Bellamy of how in the past, even when Luffy was beaten or humiliated, he never fought back. So Bellamy immediately rushed to punch Luffy in the stomach. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was continuously tormenting Law from above. Even though he lost one arm, he didn't give up and continued to attack him. Taking advantage of the moment when Doflamingo wasn't paying attention, Law Electro shocked him. But to their surprise, Doflamingo remained unfazed and defeated him once again. At this point, Luffy still refused to fight Bellamy. On the other hand, Gladius was getting ready to detonate and blow everything up, which led Cavendish to reluctantly ask to take shelter inside Bartolomeo's barrier. However, if he opened the barrier, Robin would be in danger, so he firmly refused to open it. So Gladius immediately created an explosion that blew everything away. Gladius thought he had taken down Cavendish. Unexpectedly, Bartolomeo had managed to allow Cavendish to run inside, while Robin was trying to run as fast as she could towards Rebecca. So Gladius immediately continued to attack her, but luckily, Bartolomeo controlled the barrier to shield Robin. While Cavendish was about to attack Gladius, he was instead chased by Bartolomeo's barrier. This caused both of them to make a quick escape. Just as Dellinger arrived, he was immediately attacked by Cavendish's second personality. While he still didn't understand what was happening, he continued to be slashed by Cavendish at incredible speed. Even Bartolomeo didn't know who this person was. It turns out that whenever Cavendish falls asleep, his second personality would appear, with incredible speed, which frightened Bartolomeo. But luckily, Cavendish couldn't break through his barrier. Suddenly, both of them noticed a hole above. So Bartolomeo immediately covered it. Unexpectedly, he shifted his focus to Robin. He dashed towards her at an incredible speed. Fortunately, she managed to use her devil fruit power to catch him in time. See, Robin looked incredibly cool. This made Bartolomeo admire her even more. At this point, Cavendish had started to calm down. It turns out that his second personality is named Hakuba. Unexpectedly, both of them started arguing. They were fighting for control over the body, and suddenly, Gladius inflated the wall that Robin was standing on. Bartolomeo realized that he was targeting Robin. So Bartolomeo immediately rushed to attack him. So Gladius sacrificed a tuft of his hair to attack him. Suddenly, he inflated his own body. He transformed himself into a bomb. If Bartolomeo didn't stop him in time, Robin would be in danger. So Bartolomeo rushed in to create a barrier to shield both of them. It turns out he was willing to sacrifice himself to protect Robin. He thought he had defeated Gladius. Surprisingly, he was still alive, just with a bald head like Saitama. Because Bartolomeo hadn't completely defeated Gladius, his explosive power was still active. At this point, Cavendish was being controlled by Hakuba for part of his body, but he said, "Release me, and I will save her." This left Robin in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. Then Gladius activated his powers, causing them to explode, while Bartolomeo kept thinking that Robin had died. To his surprise, she was saved by Cavendish, but Hakuba still wanted to kill Robin. Fortunately, Cavendish regained control of his body and became unconscious. At this point, Bartolomeo blamed himself for putting Robin in danger, and he remembered the first time he saw Luffy at the execution platform. Despite facing execution, he still laughed. From that moment on, he always admired Luffy. So he trained every day with Luffy's Gomu Gomu techniques. In the end, Bartolomeo also met Luffy on this island. At this moment, he decided to use the technique he had been practicing. Bartolomeo charged forward, using a technique similar to Luffy's pistol, and he managed to defeat Gladius. While Diamante was attacking Rebecca, it was fortunate that Robin arrived in time to stop him. Robin said, "I will protect Rebecca. You can fight against him with confidence," which made Diamante trigged. At this moment, all of Doflamingo's commanders had been defeated. But Viola saw that Giola was about to do something, so she informed Leo. Giola had captured Mancherry. Therefore, Leo needed to quickly rescue Mancherry. He then defeated the guards. Meanwhile, Giola was threatening the tiny tribe's princess to force her to heal the defeated commanders. It turned out Mancherry had eaten the heal fruit, which allowed her to heal any injury. So, Giola continually forced Mancherry to heal them. But Mancherry didn't want to help them anymore, because she knew they were evil. Thus, Giola captured Mancherry and tortured her, causing Mancherry great pain. So, she hoped Leo would come quickly to save her. By chance, a tear from Mancherry fell on a soldier. This made his wound heal. Giola realized that Mancherry healed injuries with her tears, so she continuously hit Mancherry to make her cry. Fortunately, Leo arrived just in time. The soldiers surrounded him, but he easily defeated them, while Giola was using Mancherry's tears to heal the commanders. Fortunately, Kaboom managed to push the commanders away. Leo then used needles to stitch them back together. Afterward, Leo stitched them onto Giola. As a result, she was defeated. Thanks to that, he was able to save Mancherry. Mancherry was very happy, because Leo came to rescue her. Viola was very happy, because she saw that Mancherry was safe. But, Leo felt that Mancherry had gotten heavier. This made her angry. Luffy still didn't want to fight Bellamy, so he continued to attack Luffy, to force Luffy to fight with him, while Frankie was still battling Senor. Each person will strike their opponent once. They see this as a battle of two men. Suddenly, Frankie was captured by Senor and thrown to the ground. But he could still stand up and continue, so Senor immediately used his swimming ability to charge straight at Frankie, even launching him into the sky. It turns out he wanted to knock out Frankie with a powerful slam. Senor thought he had defeated Frankie with that attack. As he turned to walk away, surprisingly, Frankie had regained consciousness. So, this was Frankie's turn to strike back at Senor. Senor realized he had reached his limit. At this moment, he remembered his deceased wife. It turns out that he used to be very handsome in the past, but by chance, he met a girl. Both two of them started dating. She told him that she didn't like pirates, so Senor had to keep his pirate identity a secret from her. Sometime later, they got married and had a child together. While Senor was away on a mission, Their child fell ill and passed away. It was at this moment that his wife discovered Senor's deception, so, she left in anger, but then she had an accident that left her in a vegetative state, which caused Senor a great deal of guilt over his lies. As a result, he visited the hospital every day to talk to his wife, hoping for a response from her. One day, as he was wearing baby clothes, Senor's wife smiled. From then on, he decided to wear baby clothes, despite being ridiculed by others. What mattered most to him was the smile on his wife's face. In the end, Senor was defeated by Frankie. Nevertheless, Frankie had great respect for him, because he was a sincere and genuine man. So, Frankie managed to take control of the factory producing Smile Devil fruits, and together with the dwarves, they destroyed it. But at this point, Frankie had also reached his limit, while Kyros was continuously being attacked by Diamante. But when he attacked, Diamante effortlessly dodged. It turned out that Kyros had lost one leg, making it challenging to maintain balance. Suddenly, he continued to throw pieces of paper into the air, and turned them into iron balls aimed at them, so Robin immediately plucked sunflowers to block them, while Kyros had to use his sword to deflect the iron balls. Seeing this, it wasn't an easy. This unruly fellow immediately shot Kyros in the leg, causing him to fall to the ground and be attacked by the iron balls. He even said that the gun had killed Kyros' wife, which made Rebecca extremely furious. Suddenly, Kyros stood up, leaving him in awe. Kyros paid no attention to the iron ball rain, and he immediately rushed to attack Diamante, leaving him puzzled as to why his thousand-death rain couldn't have any effect on Kyros. It turns out that it was the remorse for not to protect his wife, so that give more power to Kyros, determined to seek revenge and protect his daughter. At this point, Kyros continued to relentlessly attack him, but suddenly, he reached his limit and collapsed. Diamante then stepped forward to finish off Kyros. Surprisingly, he tried to stand up once again, and Kyros continued to charge into battle with him, but he still had confidence in his hardening ability. Unexpectedly, Kyros managed to break his sword, and defeat Diamante, which made Rebecca very happy, as they had finally avenged her mother. However, Robin was also injured while protecting Rebecca. On Zoro's side, he was still in a battle with Pica. At this moment, Pica had merged with a mountain, sprouting sharp spikes to attack Rebecca. Pica, seeing that Diamante had been defeated, turned his attention to Kyros and Rebecca. On Luffy's side, he was still being provoked by Bellamy. He continued to attack Luffy. Kyros, on the other hand, had no more strength to continue the fight. As for Zoro, he felt irritated. He was wondering where that guy had run off to while he was in the middle of a fight. Meanwhile, Pica was attacking Luffy's allies. As soon as he spotted him, Zoro immediately intercepted him. Suddenly, Pica transformed into a massive stone giant, make everyone terrifying at the moment. It turns out that his target was to eliminate King Riku, to help Doflamingo become the only king of this kingdom, while Zoro had to run quickly to stop him. At this point, as he walked, he was destroying everything. Zoro realized that he was very far away, and in that case, he wouldn't make it in time to rescue them. Despite the Navy's attempts to stop, they couldn't prevent Pica from advancing, causing Usopp's group to panic. At this moment, King Bello has finished heating up. He preparing to unleash his ultimate move, the King Punch. But Zoro come and say, if he can't hit his actual body, he won't be able to defeat Pica. They realize that they don't have much time left. So, Zoro quickly comes up with a plan and says, give me 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Pica is getting dangerously close to King Riku, leaving Usopp in a state of extreme fear. At this moment, Pica had begun to raise his gigantic fist, preparing to crush everyone. Meanwhile, Zoro is also ready. Orlumbus grabs Zoro, ready to throw him. Suddenly, all the citizens turn back to protect King Riku. They are determined to face life and death alongside their king. So, Pica decides to deal with all of them. Orlumbus swiftly throws Zoro away at an incredible speed. At this moment, Zoro begins to infuse haki into his 3 swords. It turns out he was about to use a new technique. With a single strike, he cuts the stone giant in half, leaving everyone astonished. Zoro continues his assault, splitting Pica in half. To find his true self, Zoro immediately realized that he was hiding inside the arm. So, he continues to cut the stone giant's arm. Finally, Pica did appear and spoke in a funny voice. He then decides to use full-body armament haki, in order to engage in a fierce battle with Zoro. At this moment, Zoro recalls his previous defeat against Mihawk. When using the 3-sword style technique, he promised not to lose again, so he decided to use his ultimate technique, the 3000 Worlds. Meanwhile, Pica remained confident in his haki. Unexpected. He was defeated with a single strike from Zoro, made everybody shocking at that time. However, the shattered pieces of Pica continued to fall towards Usopp's group. Fortunately, Bello had finished his preparations, and delivered a powerful punch that sent the stone giant flying. In the end, Zoro emerged victorious. At this moment, Zoro remembered when Mihawk told him before, that if he could control Haki, he could turn his swords into black blades. On Fujitora's side, he had used gravity, to prevent the falling rocks from harming the citizens. At this point, the gladiators all realized Zoro's immense strength. Luckily for them, he didn't participate in the arena battles. On Luffy's side, he still refused to fight Bellamy, so Luffy continued to be attacked by him. Luffy couldn't understand why Bellamy had been abandoned by Doflamingo, but he still wanted to sacrifice himself for him. It turns out that Bellamy only wanted Luffy to defeat him, because it was his last bit of pride. Last time, after Luffy defeated Bellamy with just one punch, he began to follow Luffy, and his bounty kept increasing. While Luffy was angry about what Doflamingo had done to his crewmates, he made a decision. Just as Bellamy was charging towards him, he was immediately knocked out by Luffy with a single punch. Just like the last time Luffy defeated him, this time, Luffy was determined to defeat Doflamingo at all costs. Meanwhile, on above, Doflamingo had already defeated Law up. He said that the devil fruit actually belonged to him from the beginning, and Law only had it thanks to Corazon's, so Doflamingo demanded that Law use the ultimate power of the OP fruit, to perform surgery to make him immortal. Unexpectedly, Law agreed, making Doflamingo think that everything is very easy. Surprisingly, Law said, "If you can resurrect Corazon, then I will help you become immortal," and Law stated that Luffy would definitely defeat him, which made Doflamingo turn angry. He kept shooting Law until they ran out of bullets, thinking Law was dead. In this way, he could retrieve the OP devil fruit. At this point, Doflamingo grew bored with the game, so he decided to shrink the birdcage. Suddenly, Luffy arrived, so he used Gear 3 to punch straight at Doflamingo. He created a string net to block Luffy's attack. Luffy then switched to his rapid-fire fisticuffs, but still couldn't land a hit on him. Fortunately, Luffy managed to dodge his string net. Suddenly, Luffy saw that there was blood everywhere around Law. Doflamingo approached, saying that Law was dead. This made Luffy furious, and he charged at Doflamingo in a relentless attack. Unexpectedly, Luffy mimicked Bellamy's spring-like technique, then delivered a powerful punch to Doflamingo, but he managed to block it and punch Luffy flying. At this moment, everyone could feel that Doflamingo's birdcage had shrunk, cut down everything in its path, causing everyone to panic and rushing back inside. So Doflamingo informed Luffy about it. "If you can't defeat me in 1 hour, everyone will die." It turns out that Doflamingo was planning to obliterate the kingdom. In order to bury all his secrets, Luffy relentlessly charged at Doflamingo. However, Doflamingo managed to block it and sent Luffy back. Doflamingo thought he was about to defeat Luffy, but suddenly Law appeared, which took him by surprise, so he was hit by Law's powerful counter-shock attack, which destroyed all of his internal organs from inside. This left Trable didn't understand why Law was still alive. It turns out that when Law was shot by Doflamingo, he had used his ability to switch places with a dead soldier. Thanks to that, Law remained safe. Law switched back only when Luffy arrived. At this moment he explained his plan to Luffy. However, that attack cannot defeat Doflamingo completely, so Luffy rushed in and delivered another powerful blow that sent Doflamingo flying. At this point, even though he had no strength left, Law wanted to personally finish off Doflamingo, to revenge for Corazon. So, he struggled to get up, and he used the devil fruit to finish off Doflamingo. Finally, he had the opportunity to avenge Corazon. When Trable tried to come to Doflamingo's rescue, Luffy stopped him immediately. Surprisingly, Doflamingo continued to insult Corazon. This made Law furious, and used electrical shock on him, leaving Doflamingo unconscious. But Law was also exhausted. Suddenly, Doflamingo was able to stand up again, shocking both of them. It turned out that Doflamingo had the ability to heal his own injuries using his strings. Trable immediately grabbed Luffy and threw him away, while Doflamingo approached to deal with Law, leaving him in despair, thinking he had lost. Unexpectedly, Luffy immediately returned to block his attack. "How dare you block me, Straw Hat?" So both of them unleashed Conqueror's Haki and faced off against each other. This caused the entire castle to tremble, and everyone could feel their power. Law saw that Luffy had Conqueror's Haki. He realized he had placed his trust in the right person. At this moment, Doflamingo remembered that when his entire family was captured by the citizens, he had already released his Conqueror's haki at a young age. This made everyone pass out, and inadvertently, Trebol learned that Doflamingo had Conqueror's haki. He gave Doflamingo a devil fruit and a gun, so he used that gun to kill his own father, because Doflamingo believed that he had pushed his own family into this tragedy. Trebol thought that only Doflamingo could be a true king. But unexpectedly, Luffy kicked him away. He continued to attack Doflamingo. This caused Doflamingo to be continuously hit, when Luffy was about to deliver a powerful strike. But Doflamingo didn't flinch. He laughed and quickly teleported, kicked Luffy fly away. Trebol then caught Luffy, leaving him unable to break free from Trebol's sticky substance. Doflamingo continued to deal with Law, so Luffy attacked Trebol in an attempt to break free. Unexpectedly, Luffy couldn't land a hit on him, and he couldn't understand why. Even though he had used haki, Trebol wasn't hurt. Suddenly, Law insulted Trebol, calling him a slimy idiot, which infuriated Trebol and made him want to get rid of Law for daring to insult a high-ranking officer. It turned out that the four of them before were four-person who founded the Don Quixote Pirates. Knowing that Doflamingo possessed Conqueror's haki and was a devil, so they elevated Doflamingo to be their leader. Anyone who dared to touch Doflamingo would all be defeated by them, and this instilled fear in all the townspeople, because they wanted Doflamingo to become their king. Suddenly, Law cursed Trebol as a foolish person, because he had been manipulated by Doflamingo all along, making Trebol angry. Decided to deal with him, taking advantage of this opportunity. Law immediately activated his abilities. He teleported his severed arm to strike him. Because that, Luffy managed to escape. Unexpectedly, this time Trebol's true form was revealed. It turns out he was just a skinny guy. At this point, Luffy just realized why his attacks weren't hitting him. Suddenly, he ignited the sticky substance of his own, causing the entire castle to explode, making everyone not understand what's happening. Viola saw that Trebol had been defeated. Fortunately, Luffy and Law managed to escape. Upon seeing Robin, Luffy immediately handed Law over to her. So, Robin created a net to catch Law. Suddenly, Doflamingo immediately attacked them, made Luffy from stopping him in time. Fortunately, Cavendish arrived to rescue them. Luffy asked him to take everyone away from here, so that he could focus on fighting Doflamingo, while Law was severely injured, in need of healing right away. In Luffy's side, he continued to relentlessly attack Doflamingo, but Luffy's attacks didn't seem matter to him at all. He said that while Luffy was fast, his attacks were too weak, and Doflamingo also told Luffy. It turns out he had been watching Luffy for a long time, and discovered the D in his name. At that time, Law wanted to stay here, because he couldn't exact his revenge on his own. But at least Law wanted to witness Luffy defeating Doflamingo, while Luffy continued to relentlessly attack him. But he managed to block it with his 5-color strings. Both of them continued to use haki to engage in combat. On Cavendish's side, he was moved by Law's determination, so he decided to stay here to witness the battle alongside Law. At this moment, Bartolomeo created a staircase, let Robin's group to leave first, while Luffy was still engaged in combat with Doflamingo. Suddenly, he began to create a string net to capture Luffy. So, Luffy immediately used a fiery punch to attack him, causing Doflamingo to slam into the wall. But that nothing to he. So, Luffy continued to use Gear 3 to deliver a direct blow to Doflamingo. Surprisingly, he easily evaded the attack, and immediately countered with a kick that sent Luffy crashing to the ground. At this point, he said that in 1 hour, everyone would be dead, and the sound of their screams would echo throughout the country, making Luffy furious. He realized there wasn't much time left, so Luffy decided to use his new skill. It's time for me to use Gear 4. While all the people on the island were fearful, the birdcage continued to shrink with no one to stop it, causing everyone to worry. Zoro realized that they couldn't wait any longer, so he decided to run and try to stop the birdcage. On Law's side, he had his severed arm reattached by Leo and Mancheri. Now, they were all relying on Luffy's victory. At this moment, Luffy infused haki into his arm, and he immediately inflated his arm with air, causing his body to inflate. This is Luffy's new form, Gear 4. Meanwhile, Doflamingo found it amusing, because this shape was no different than a rubber balloon. Are you mocking me? You're just inflating your body, right? It turns out Luffy had come up with this move 2 years ago. When Luffy trained with giant creatures, this form would help him increase the elasticity of rubber. So, Luffy compressed his arm back, and quickly charged at Doflamingo with incredible speed. He punched Doflamingo, sending him flying out of the castle, even sliding through the city. This surprised the citizens. They had no idea what had just fallen from the sky. Seeing Doflamingo made them gasp in awe. At this moment, he realized that Luffy's punch was too powerful. Suddenly, Luffy was flying to him at high speed. So, Doflamingo shot his fire string net to stop him. However, Luffy immediately flashed over to continue kicking him away. But Doflamingo was still able to get up, realizing that he had underestimated Luffy. So, he flew up into the sky, and Luffy immediately pursued him. Doflamingo then charged to attack him, but at this point, Doflamingo's strings couldn't harm Luffy anymore. Even Luffy's punches were harder than his. When Luffy attacked Doflamingo, he quickly dodged and teleported behind Luffy to sneak attack. However, his kicks were like mosquito bites to Luffy. Because his body was still made of hockey-infused rubber, Luffy used his punch to pursue Doflamingo, and even Fiery his strings net couldn't stop him, so he was hit by another punch from Luffy once again, sending him flying through several buildings. Everyone was in awe, as it was indeed the Straw Hat Luffy. But Law realized that this technique of Luffy's consumed a lot of hockey. At this point, Luffy started to feel exhausted. Seeing that Doflamingo could still get up, Luffy realized that there wasn't much time left, so he went in for an attack. Suddenly, Doflamingo began to demonstrate his true abilities. He turned the ground into strings to block Luffy's punch, leaving Luffy wondering what kind of power this was. Doflamingo explained that his devil fruit also had another power called awakening. He then turned everything around him into strings, and launched a continuous assault on Luffy. At this point, he could attack from all directions, because this power allowed him to turn everything into his weapons. Luffy was starting to get exhausted. The citizens still desperate, trying to run towards the center to escape from the birdcage. Many people had given up, but suddenly, King Riku made an announcement to them. All of Doflamingo's high-ranking officers had been defeated, and now he was the only one left fighting against Luffy. They still had hope for victory, which helped restore hope to everyone, encouraging them to assist others in getting to the center. Even a 90-year-old woman could run a marathon. At this point, Doflamingo continued to turn buildings into strings to attack Luffy, and he managed to catch him, while Doflamingo was still healing his own wounds. But he couldn't hold on to Luffy for long, so Luffy continued dash forward. He used even more strings to attack him. At this moment, Luffy realized that time was running out. Doflamingo had turned all the buildings in the town into strings, to fight a deadly fight with Luffy. But Luffy was too fast for him to hit, so Luffy shielded Haki into his head, and delivered a powerful blow to him. This sent Doflamingo flying, but he managed to catch Luffy's hand and throw him away, as he was about to tend to his wounds. Then Luffy flashed in front of Doflamingo. He then used his bazooka move to send Doflamingo straight into a mountain. Seeing Doflamingo defeated, everyone was amazed by Luffy's strength. They all thought that Luffy had defeated him, made them very happy. The MC at the Coliseum just saw Luffy. He recognized Luffy as the gladiator Lucy. At this point, Luffy was bouncing in one place like a rubber ball. Can you stop? No. Leaving them also powerless against Luffy. Suddenly, Luffy realized that he hadn't completely defeated Doflamingo yet, because the birdcage hadn't disappeared yet. Luffy dashed forward and quickly launched another attack, but unexpected he had depleted his haki and returned to his normal form. As soon as Burgess saw Luffy exhausted, he took this opportunity to attack Luffy. It turns out his target this time was the Gomu Gomu no Mi Devil Fruit. At this point, Luffy was completely drained, but no one was willing to help him, because they considered Luffy a pirate. Doflamingo suddenly woke up, causing everyone to fear and flee, so he continued to healing the wounds for himself, while Luffy was completely exhausted. But no one was willing to stop and help him. Fortunately, the Coliseum MC ran to assist Luffy, because he was a hardcore fan of Luffy in the Coliseum. Luffy said, "I need 10 minutes. It turns out that after using Gear 4 and depleting his haki, Luffy needed 10 minutes to recover. Luffy said, "If I recover, I can defeat him with just one blow," which made the Coliseum MC happy. It's surprising that all the gladiators from the Coliseum also rallied to help Luffy. But at this point, Doflamingo had recovered as well. "This time, you won't escape from me, Straw Hat." As soon as he stepped down to the ground, he found himself surrounded by all the gladiators from the Coliseum. Meanwhile, the Coliseum MC immediately carried Luffy and ran away. Suddenly, Burgess jumped out to attack Luffy. Fortunately, Sabo arrived just in time to kick him and send him flying. When Luffy saw Sabo, he was very happy. "Luffy is my little brother. From now on, I will be the one to protect Luffy. At this moment, Burgess realized that Sabo was the one who had taken the Mera Mera no Mi from him, which made him very trigged. So, Sabo faced off against Burgess to allow Luffy's group to escape. Thanks to the power of the Mera Mera no Mi, Burgess was unable to hurt him. He was immediately subjected to continuous blows from Sabo, and sent him flying with his Dragon Claw Fist technique. Meanwhile, Doflamingo had finished of all the gladiators in the Coliseum. This time, he was determined to capture Luffy. In the center of the island, it was full of people, while Zoro had enveloped his sword in haki to stop Doflamingo's birdcage, and Kinnamon's group was assisting him in this effort. Meanwhile, Frankie and the dwarves worked together to push the factory that produced devil fruits. Because it was made of sea stone, it couldn't be cut. Doflamingo, unable to locate Luffy, so had decided to increase the speed of narrowing the birdcage. This made the citizens even more desperate, while Sabo was still trying to prevent Burgess. But no matter how hard Burgess fought, he couldn't match Sabo's strength. Zoro was still working to stop the birdcage, and at this point, the birdcage had only 3 minutes left to contract, while Luffy still had 4 minutes left to recover. Bartolomeo created a massive shield to help everyone push the birdcage back together. At this moment, Robin remembered that they were all still injured from their earlier encounters. How could they recover so quickly? Leo explained that it was thanks to Princess Mancherry. She was using her powers to heal them. On Luffy's side, he was still running away, but Law suddenly appeared and said, "Hand him over to me." As for God Usopp, he encouraged the citizens to come and help push the birdcage, while Doflamingo was still searching for Luffy and defeating gladiators, but they remained determined to stop Doflamingo. At this moment, Rebecca found Doflamingo. Unexpectedly, Viola was also there to try to hinder him, but no matter how she attacked, she couldn't make a single hair on him fall, so he kicked her down to the ground. On Zoro's side, they were still trying to stop the birdcage, but its contracting speed was increasing. Suddenly, Fujitora also arrived to help them. At this moment, all the Marines also gathered together, and they used haki to help Zoro's group. Not only the Marines, but also the citizens of the kingdom came to assist in stopping the birdcage, and the contracting speed of the birdcage decreased significantly. Seeing everyone joining forces and working together to prolong the time, this made Doflamingo angry. Viola took this opportunity to attack him, but Doflamingo easily blocked her. Viola continued to attack, only to be defeated by him once again. At this moment, he used his strings to control Viola, but surprise, Rebecca lost control again. It turned out that Doflamingo had taken control of her. He was planning to make Rebecca attack Viola. Now, there was only 1 minute left, and everyone was running out of time. So, they tried their best to stop the birdcage, while Princess Mancherry used her powers to heal everyone. Rebecca was being forced by Doflamingo to attack her aunt. But suddenly the Coliseum MC announced everyone that the gladiator Lucy has returned, and he is none other than Luffy, the Straw Hat. This time, he was determined to defeat Doflamingo with just one move, and it surprised everyone. But this time, everyone believed in Luffy and placed their hopes in him. The gladiators and Luffy's allies were ecstatic upon hearing the news. However, they suddenly began to feel exhausted, as Princess Mancherry's healing powers had worn off, while everyone was cheering for Luffy, and started counting backward from 10 seconds. So, he started to regain consciousness and tried to stand up. Suddenly, Doflamingo immediately attacked Gyatso. "You talk too much." At this point, Luffy still hadn't appeared, making Doflamingo think Gyatso was just blabbering, while he was controlling Rebecca to attack Viola. Finally, Luffy also appeared instantly. It turns out Law had switched positions between Luffy and Viola. So, Luffy was now standing in front of Doflamingo. His return made everyone very happy. "You've recovered your haki, Straw Hat, haven't you?" Realizing that Luffy still hadn't fully recovered, he immediately attacked Luffy. When Doflamingo was about to deal with Rebecca, Law immediately teleported her away. At this point, he continued to use his awakened power, and immediately caught Luffy. He then coated his sharp threads with haki, continuously thrusting into Luffy's abdomen. Even though Luffy used haki to defend himself, he was still sent flying straight into the mountain by Doflamingo. Then he delivered a powerful blow to Luffy. Seeing that Luffy still wasn't moving, Doflamingo continued to control Luffy's body, turning him into his puppet. At this point, Luffy remembered his training with Rayleigh, when he fought a monkey to practice a new technique. Doflamingo continued to humiliate the kingdom's citizens, and seeing everyone in this birdcage as just his puppets, made Luffy furious. So he decided to use Gear 4, and inflated his arms with air. In this state, Luffy easily destroyed Doflamingo's threads. But Doflamingo realized that Luffy was exhausted. Suddenly, Luffy immediately flew into the sky. To see how you can take me down with one hit, Doflamingo immediately chased after Luffy, and was determined to fight hard with him. At this point, Luffy continued to inflate his arms, helping his arms to grow even larger. Turns out, this move of Luffy is called King Kong Gun. Doflamingo also infused Haki into his threads aimed at Luffy. So Luffy used the gigantic fist to counter him. The combined power of both caused the entire island to shake. Doflamingo thought he could block it, but this time, Luffy unleashed all his strength. Luffy's punch broke through Doflamingo's threads, and struck Doflamingo right in the face, sending him crashing down below, and creating a large hole in the ground. Finally, Luffy emerged victorious. Seeing Luffy defeat Doflamingo made Rebecca cry. At this point, Luffy had run out of Haki and returned to normal. So Law immediately shifted him back. All the citizens still didn't know what had happened. When they looked up at the sky, the birdcage was slowly disappearing, which made them very happy. While the gladiators and Zoro's group were trying to push the cage, they stumbled and fell. At this moment, the MC announced to everyone that the battle had ended, and the winner was Lucy, which made everyone happy, because, in the end, they had escaped from the domination and deception of Doflamingo. And the hero Kyros also cried for the suffering brought upon him since Doflamingo appeared. At this point, Sabo had also defeated Burgess. When Sabo was about to spare him, Burgess insulted, "You and your brothers are all a bunch of cowards," and even insulted Ace. This made Sabo furious as he grabbed Burgess's head. "You've said enough." And it turns out that Sabo was still remorseful for Ace's death. He wasn't there when it happened. While Sabo was overcome with anger, he then attempted to sneak attack Sabo. But he managed to avoid it, and immediately made him shut his mouth. At this point, the navy had gathered to capture all the leaders and even Doflamingo. Despite their fear, they had to securely restrain Doflamingo using seastone. Meanwhile, Admiral Fujitora had come and knelt down to apologize to King Riku, which surprised everyone, because the world government had been complicit with the warlords. Doflamingo was able to operate freely in this kingdom. At this point, the news had spread throughout the world from Dressrosa. It turned out that Fujitora wanted the entire world to know so that he could completely eliminate the warlord system. On the side of Mariajoy, Fleet Admiral Akainu contacted the Five Elders. Suddenly, they received the news that Luffy and Law had defeated Doflamingo, which surprised everyone. Akainu exclaimed, "It's that brat again." He then called Fujitora and scolded him for kneeling and apologizing, which had embarrassed the entire Navy headquarters. They also pressured Fujitora to immediately capture Luffy and Law. On Luffy's side, everyone was receiving medical treatment and resting. Suddenly, Sabo arrived to find them. Seeing Sabo made Robin very happy, and she told everyone that Sabo was Luffy's older brother. It turns out that he wanted to meet Luffy before leaving. Sabo then told everyone about their childhood, but after he was attacked by the celestial dragons, he was saved by Dragon, Luffy's father. However, Sabo lost all his memories, so he joined the Revolutionary Army. Since then, Sabo's rapid progress, even defeating Hack, led to Kuma taking on his training. However, Sabo continued to receive tough training from him. Meanwhile, Luffy and Ace believed that Sabo had died, so both of them made a promise to become great pirates. Sometime later, Sabo had progressed significantly. At this point, he set his sights on Dragon, but was put to bed early. A few years later, Ace bid farewell to Luffy to set sail. While Sabo had become much stronger, he even learned how to use Haki, and Sabo eventually became the chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army. After the decisive battle between the Whitebeard pirates and the Marines ended, Sabo heard people talking about Ace. Seeing a picture of Ace, Sabo was shocked, because finally, his memories returned. The three of them had shared a cup of sake to become brothers, making Sabo start to feel confused and cry. "I remember now, Ace wasn't just any pirate or a threat, but he is my brother." Sometime later, Sabo visited Ace's grave, before heading to the arena to win the Mera Mera no Mi. At this point, Luffy was unsure of who could help him get the Mera Mera fruit. Unexpectedly, Sabo appeared. Seeing Sabo, Luffy immediately burst into tears. "It's Sabo, my brother." Luffy immediately hugged Sabo. "Sabo, I let Ace die before my eyes, even though Ace is gone. But I'm thankful you're still alive, Luffy. I couldn't bear to lose you too." So Luffy entrusted Ace's devil fruit to Sabo. At this point, Sabo was prepared to leave. "Please take care of Luffy for me. The next morning, everyone began rebuilding the kingdom together, while Luffy woke up, and started to fill his stomach again. Suddenly, they heard that Admiral Fujitora had ordered Luffy's capture, so the group realized it was time to leave, and the navy began to take action to surround Luffy's group, but Bartolomeo said that, the gladiators had prepared an escape route for them. At this point, the Marines were closing in, so the group fled together. Suddenly, Luffy realized he had one more thing to do, so Luffy separated from the group and headed straight for the castle. Although the Marines were relentlessly pursuing him, but they couldn't catch Luffy. Meanwhile, the gladiators were helping God Usopp clear a path to the port. It turns out Luffy was looking for Rebecca. "Do you want to meet your toy soldier? Come with me." Rebecca agreed, and Luffy immediately carried her away, causing the whole palace to become chaotic. The citizens were shocked to hear that Luffy had taken their princess, so everyone chased after Luffy, to get him to return Rebecca. Suddenly, they were surrounded by the Marines, so Luffy knocked the entire group out. Realizing that the Marines were too many, Luffy carried Rebecca and flew up, which made her scared. The mountain in front is the home of the toy soldier. While Kyros was preparing to leave the kingdom, because he felt guilty for not being able to protect Rebecca and his wife, Rebecca was carried by Luffy to the mountaintop, and she ran quickly to the flower field to meet her father. As Kyros was stepping out, Rebecca arrived, which surprised him. At this point, Rebecca said she wanted to be with Kyros, which made him cry, because in the end, Rebecca had accepted him. On Zoro's side, he was caught up by Fujitora, while Luffy was trying to return to regroup with everyone. Zoro was about to fight him. The fighters stepped in and told them to leave it to us, so Bartolomeo created a shield to block Fujitora. Suddenly, he unleashed his gravity devil fruit power, gathering all the rubble on the entire island, causing the group to panic. If he used this to attack them, everyone will die. Luckily, Luffy arrived at last, so he used Gear 3 to attack Fujitora. Even though Luffy knew he was a Marine Admiral, Luffy remained unyielding and declared, "Now, whether they're Yonko or Marine Admirals, I'll defeat them all." While Bartolomeo was scared, Luffy continued to attack Fujitora, so he used gravity to push Luffy to the ground. Luffy then slammed his head onto the ground to create a rebound. Knowing that Fujitora was blind, Luffy kept describing how he would attack so Fujitora would know. He continued to use gravity to push Luffy down. At this point, Fujitora thought that Luffy was underestimating him, because he saw him as a blind man. It turns out Luffy wanted to defeat Fujitora fairly, so Luffy made him laugh, because he found Luffy too interesting. Fujitora concentrated gravity into his sword, and attacked Luffy with a powerful strike, sending him flying away. Luckily, Hajordine managed to catch Luffy, stopped him from fighting Fujitora, so they all ran to the port together, which surprised Usopp because they had prepared many ships. At this point, Fujitora still wanted to capture Luffy, so he used a giant stone sphere to chase them, making everyone worried, because they didn't know how to escape from this mess. So Fujitora released the stone sphere, to prepare to sink them all. But suddenly, all the citizens of Dressrosa rushed to the scene, surprising Fujitora, and he couldn't continue to take action. At this point, Fujitora realized, on the surface, they were kick Luffy's group away, but in reality, all the island citizens were protecting Luffy's group to ensure their safety. Because he didn't sense any anger from them, Fujitora began to feel regret. In hindsight, "I shouldn't have blinded my own eyes, otherwise, I could have seen Luffy's face clearly." In the end, Luffy's group made it to the ship. Suddenly, all the fighters, captains, and their 5,600 subordinates decided to choose Luffy as their boss, and asked to serve under the Straw Hat Pirates, surprising everyone. So Bartolomeo poured the toast of brotherhood, but Luffy unexpectedly said, "I won't drink this glass of wine," because if he did, he would become the commander of a fleet of 5,600 people. But Luffy didn't like that, so he told everyone, "I don't want to be anyone's boss, but if anyone in our group is in danger, we'll immediately come to each other's aid," making Bartolomeo idolize Luffy even more, because he wanted to be a free person. Unexpectedly, they declared it on their own. Even though Luffy didn't agree, they all considered Luffy as their boss. Finally, the Straw Hat Pirates' 5,600-member fleet was formed, making everyone very happy, and they celebrated together. Today's video ends here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, to support Oni-chan in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, much love.